Hello and welcome to the third round of the World Supertech Series Season 2, and we are live from Velopark in southern Brazil, and I am live also with my two co-commentators. We've got Liam Jenkins and Ben Davis. Firstly, Liam, are you looking forward to Velopark after obviously the excitement of the two races at Curitiba?
Good evening everybody, and absolutely, I mean right now, and you can see the current timings on the bottom of your screen, Calamies and Nilsson still are the two dominant forces there at the moment. However, it is looking a bit closer, especially through that midfield, and I think, if you think back to last week, of course, where it was predominantly GT Omega out the front, unchallenged except by themselves, now, with literally just a few hundredths of a second separating Nascimento from Nilsson, it's going to open this race right up and definitely open the championship.
Certainly is. Calamies and Nilsson obviously leading that championship at the moment, and Ben, it was a dominant showing from the GT Omega guys, wasn't it, last time out?
It certainly was. I mean, it's been fairly dominant for the first two rounds actually, but here, as Liam said, it certainly looks a lot closer, and I'm not sure whether the GT Omega guys, whether this is their absolute best pace, but certainly in practice beforehand, Jesper Torberg looked very quick indeed. His best lap time of 53.2. But the GT Omega guys may well have been doing a lot of offline practice because they didn't really show their hand online, so they may be sandbagging a little bit. But certainly at the moment it looks a bit closer.
I think they've been holding their pace out for the races, as Ben was saying, because so far in the team's championship they are leading by a whopping 111 points from THR Red, and of course Calamies and Nilsson leading the Drivers' Championship from Brian Cullen, who is in third place, with Chris Butcher in fourth. Those two swapping round after Butcher was in third position following round one. So it'll be looking for Butcher to improve on that position for THR Red in this round. Of course, Damien Henderson for GT Omega is actually racing as an independent, but still oversees that operation along with Calamies and Nilsson, and Beeson Muller for THR Green. Kenneth Yeoman for F1 Classic, he's down in fifth despite in fifth in the team's championship despite only being one driver, so shows Kenneth Yeoman is certainly a decent driver in this series. David Yunt as well has been doing a pretty good job. Jack Keithley is unable to join us for this round, but he will be back later in the season, he says. So let's head back to the live action and head back to the track where currently Calamies is topping the times, but as Liam was saying, it's not by much, and Nascimento has set the quickest time we've seen yet, and you can see that by going on to TouringProSeries.com and clicking on live timing. You can see all of the current live timing for the WSS, and of course you can also see the championship standings as well if you just missed them at results.touringproseries.com and clicking the WSS text on the left hand side of your screen. So be sure to use TouringProSeries.com. So Liam, predictions. First qualifying in just a few minutes' time. Who are we going to see at topping the timesheets? Is it going to be GT Omega wrapping out the front row once again, or are we going to see someone like Nate Nascimento in the mix?
I don't know, I mean we saw Nita of course last time out, and he had a very strong qualifying pace, but of course his final lap in the first race got hindered. But just taking a look from first place to 13th, all separated by just over 6/10 of a second. So if anyone can just find a little bit of extra time perhaps through the middle sector, then we could see perhaps a shot pole position here. I don't think it's going to go entirely easy tonight.
No, it's going to be interesting to see exactly who comes out on top. We've got quite a few drivers in the mix. Ben, your predictions. Liam's just given his.
Well, I very much agree with Liam. I think it's going to be all about, as I said at Curitiba, but even more so here because it's an even shorter lap. It's all about who can get a lap in and who can get, hit every apex, get their line exactly right. And just a word on lines for this track. I mean, you certainly have to. There are lots of corners, sweeping corners, like we're seeing. I think that's Nascimento going through now. You have to get there are lots of different lines to take, and if you take too much speed into one first part of a complex, you compromise your speed out, especially for that back straight. So you have to be absolutely spot on this track, and there's a lot of room for making mistakes. So it's going to be all about who can get a lap in.
Certainly is. Actually, Jesper Talbot coming through the first sector now, and he is obviously. Oh, and there's a car in front of him that looked like either a Jala or Tveit. I think it was a Jala. Ayala, sorry, excuse me. I got it wrong in the first couple of rounds. So Ayala, I will get used to that. Tommy running wide, obviously with a bit of damage, and his teammate Outfight is not exactly the most stable person out on track either, so watch for some fireworks from those two. It's a very short lap time here, just 53 seconds, I don't think that's been mentioned yet, and what that means is if everyone does show up, there will be 1.5 seconds between each competitor out on track, so space is going to be at an absolute premium, isn't it, Liam?
Absolutely. I mean, with the track nature of this as well, you know, as you said, it's 53 seconds a lap roughly, so it's very, very short lap time, very tight. You can see you can barely fit, you know, 2 cars round here, so streaming into the opening sector, it's going to be very, very interesting indeed. But I think, this is very interesting as well. I was talking to Ryan Callan earlier, and he said he wasn't expecting, you know, a sort of huge finish today. He's not fond of the track. He currently sits in 11th, but even so, that 11th place, barely any time off the leader, considering gaps compared to earlier rounds and the distance between GT Omega and the rest of the field. So I think, you know, it's going to be a lot closer than we anticipate, as we say. So a few minutes to go before we go to qualifying, but I don't know, I think it can literally all change just one decent lap time.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers in the 53s, all the way down to David Yunt looking 13th place, just 0.6 of a second covers the top 13, so very tight indeed. And David Yunt, actually, we've seen him in the wars just now, so he's got some time to improve. Let's find some other drivers to follow. Adrian McNaughton is in the pit lane, James Johnson's out on track, Ryan Cullen's out on track. Tamas Fott, we haven't followed him in the first 2 rounds, so let's have a quick look at what Tamas is doing around the track as we use our sidebar version of the overlay. This is of course the second time ever in the world that an overlay has been used for a game stock car broadcast, and I believe it's pretty much the first live broadcast of a stock car event as well, so a couple of firsts for you in the TPS. So Tamas Fott, talk us through a lap, Ben.
Right, sorry, my screens are frozen. That's helpful. Yeah, as I was saying, this complex in particular is very, very important to get your lines spot on and get a good run out onto this fairly long back straight, which will be a good place to use the push to pass in the races, particularly as it's quite a heavy braking zone into this fairly tight left-hander, which he's coming into now. Hits the apex quite nicely. Here, see those massive anti-cuts, the big tyre barriers that will certainly see a lot of people hitting and causing damage. Again, very tight left-hander. It's important to hit the apex there to get into the camber, to get another slingshot onto the straight. Another place, obviously, which is good for push to pass. It's the longest straight, the start-finish straight. But you have to be. I think you have to be properly passing, as this is quite a fast right left-hander to begin with. It's certainly going to be interesting to see at the beginning of the race. This left-hander, you have to be braking and turning. So again, it's very difficult to get the car turned in. And here you just have to avoid that wall. We saw a couple of people hitting the wall and the curb as well. The curb sends you spinning if you hit that inside curb or wall. So certainly you have to be as close as possible to the apex to get it turned in, but you have to also not hit the wall, otherwise we will see cars spinning without a doubt.
And there's other obstacles out on the track as Tamas comes through. Just exactly my point illustrated. Those tyre barriers are there to stop people cutting. They're also there to catch people out, for people to push the limits of the track, and you hit one of those, it will be a race-ending incident, or certainly very close to, and people have to just give them a little bit of respect, a little bit of room, and Tamas Fott comes through into the 54.2 as we put the standings back down to where it was, and we'll have a look at another couple of drivers. We've just got a few minutes left of qualifying. I don't think we have anyone new out there today. Pretty much have the same field that we had last time. JJ Wang still living on a knife edge after his extensive penalising in round 1. He was a good boy in round 2, so hopefully he'll maintain that in this round at Velopark. Here's Glenn Cabis, and you can see a lovely helicopter shot looking down on the field, and that's a THR purple car. I think that's Nascimento in behind him. So yeah, it's nice to have all these different camera angles, and we're very blessed with Game Stock Car that we have a variety. As Cabis crosses the line a few seconds down, and he's got some work to do from there. So Liam, as we see the car of Nascimento into the wall, just a couple of minutes left. Do you think everyone will be doing a qualifying run, or one or two guys still working on their race setup?
It depends, obviously, on how you want to approach it and where you feel most comfortable with the car. I mean, you will see guys doing the entire session on their qualifying setup and then spending minimal time in the warm-up session after on their race setup. It's all down to personal preference, but I think you will see a couple of guys perhaps just trying to test their quali setup as Ryan Callan goes a bit faster in Sector 1 by 300ths of a second. But I think it really is just down to what the driver feels most comfortable with. If he's not comfortable with quali, he will just practice entirely on quali setup, because the thing is with this track, you need a good start, because otherwise you're just going to get swamped into turn 1, and with the track nature such as this, it's going to be very hard to try and regain those positions.
It is indeed, and obviously with the back straight as it is, that's really the only opportunity for push to pass, as the screen freezes again. It will occasionally do that when people leave and join the game. Don't worry too much, it won't happen as we go into qualifying and the races. So yeah, with that long back straight, obviously slipstreaming will be a big important issue, won't it, Ben?
Yeah, definitely, particularly in qualifying. I think we'll see if the car in front isn't holding you up, if you can get a slingshot and get into that slipstream and cleanly overtake him, that might well be the difference between pole and second place, because the timing is just so close. You might be able to gain, you know, half, even if it's just half a tenth, that could make, you know, a good few places on the grid. So it'd be interesting to see if anyone makes use of slipstreaming in qualifying.
Yeah, it's pretty much, as I say, the only place you can use push to pass, because it is the longest straight. And push to pass, I should remind everyone, is 8 seconds of 80 brake horsepower, and you can use it 8 times in a race, and it recharges every 150 seconds. That's 2 minutes 30 seconds. So you can't use it on every lap, and of course with a 53-second lap you'd have to wait for probably 2.5 laps really before you can actually use it again. So obviously with a 38 lap race, it'll be interesting to see what sort of strategy people use it for, won't it, Ben?
Yes, without a doubt. I mean, we certainly saw some interesting strategies at Curitiba with most notably Ryan Callan and Jesper Thorberg on the last lap, and of course Ivan Calamis and Tommy Nilsson as well. 2 drivers saving it for the very last corner to get that slingshot over the line and beat the opponent to the line. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here, and maybe people might be a bit more aware of people saving it until the very last second. But as you said, there's only really certainly the back straight and then also the start-finish straight. But as I said, you've got to be very careful if you're trying to overtake someone into that first corner.
Yeah, because it's absolutely single file, and obviously the curbs are quite a big, as we see Beto Rodriguez completely disregarding the curbs there. That was a big cut. I think we'll have to have a little word in his ear. I suppose it is only practice still, but if he does do that throughout qualifying and the race, then might have to say something to him. But anyway, we'll just follow another driver because he's heading towards the pit lane. Just time has ticked down to 0 now, so there isn't any time at all left for drivers to do any sort of perfecting of setups or anything of the like. Just waiting for qualifying to begin, and as I was saying to Ben just now, Liam, track position is going to be absolutely crucial. Do you think people will run to the end of the pit lane, or?
It's going to be, as you say, qualifying is just going to be such an important session, and that pit lane exit is also quite tricky in itself. You will see, hopefully we don't see it, but we saw earlier a couple of drivers trying to cut their way around it. But track position with the track nature is this is going to probably be the most important factor of this qualifying session. You'll be interested to see who of the guys that are like Nilsson, Calamis, Nascimento, Butcher, Thorberg, Sene, those kind of guys, if they leave it to the last minute or wait for the track to rubber in, or do they go out as soon as that green light comes on at the end of the pit lane and just gun for it and get their laps done?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the game is frozen. No, it hasn't. Okay, that's good then. It's come back to us, which is always nice. We've only got 27 people in the server. That sounds a little bit incredulous to me, but there we go. I think maybe 1 or 2 people will be joining. If not, it's not too much of a problem. It's a lot of. It's obviously with a 7-day gap as well. I think there'll be a few people who will have expected it to be 2 weeks, but that's not our problem. That's their responsibility to familiarise whatever the word is, to make sure they know what the calendar is, Ben.
Yes, indeed. Got there in the end. But yeah, with a week gap, it's very difficult to get the amount of practice in that certainly some people would want to do. But equally, there's still been a lot of practicing going on. I think I saw 5,000 laps are being completed. I think Ray Lilly is the person with the most amount of laps completed for practice. Certainly somewhere near the 600 mark, I believe. Oh no, sorry, 940 laps he did in practice, which is very dedicated indeed. But yeah, a week gap, very difficult to get the amount of practice in and build up to the races you'd want, and also possibly other commitments you might have. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame to see not a full grid, but it's still going to be a very exciting race on this short track with 27 drivers.
Certainly is, as Tommy Nilsson starts his first flying lap, and he's going to be probably right up there straight away on the pace, as we see he's being followed by Alexandre Sene. He's trying to learn something perhaps from young Tommy, who obviously is one of our two leading drivers along with Calamies in the championship so far, and GT Amiga really he's actually given up on this lap already, and he's going to let Sene through, and he's going to have to get out of the way of Johnson, who slips through as well, so we'll follow Nilsson in a minute. Jesper Talborg is also on a lap, and as we were just saying, he's got to be careful with cutting rules through that. It's very tight and very easy to run wide, so it's just all about staying within the white lines.
Yeah, I think a big factor as well is that, I mean, as you said, track place is a big thing, but if you're trying to do a lap and you've got traffic behind you, or you are traffic trying to set a lap and you've got someone like, for instance, Jesper Talberg breathing down your back at every waking moment, then you're going to be pressured into making a mistake, and this track is very unforgiving, so that sort of traffic issue can really hinder your lap times.
Yep, as Sene goes first at the moment, as you would expect, and obviously he was the first to set a competitive lap time. Calamies goes top with a 53.6. As I say, we've seen a 53.2, as Talborg will have to abandon that lap as a result of him cutting the chicane. And Sene's gone up in sector 2 as well, so he's doing a good job as someone's running off the track and not really respecting the track limits, Ben.
No, you've certainly got to be careful. I think the main place where people might be caught out with this, with the track limits, is out of turn 3 and going into turn 4. People might just get a bit greedy on the right-hand side, put 4 wheels over the white lines, and that is not allowed. So they've got to be very careful in qualifying when they're.
Yeah, they certainly do have to be careful. As we see Nato Nascimento, who is flying around the track at the moment. He set a purple sector. He's still purple. Obviously the lap time's not quite as good as they could be. 56.6 is not completely stellar pace, but it's pretty good. And 53.4 for David Yunt. I think we've lost Ben. He's cutting in and out, so it's a shame. Hopefully we can get Ben back in a minute. And Nascimento stays in 6th position. Calamies is going quicker as well. He is also purple. 0.146 up on David Yunt's fastest time. David Yunt's a very good time indeed, as she also Clint bouncing over the grass there. It's a very good time of 53.4, isn't it, Liam?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you can, that's a benchmark time at the moment. You can see Calamies is 3/10 up already. But to get that lap in that early on, we still got 6 minutes left, and a lot of guys still trying to itch to get their best out of their car. But having that as a banker lap is definitely a very good benchmark. Calamies was doing a 53.3. What does he do this time? And he does a 53.3. So, just want to say, it was a 10th quicker, and still that just shows you how fast he was. Because if Calamies, the championship leader, can only manage a 53.3, well, I say only managed, David Yunt's got up there with a 53.4, and he isn't that far away. So very, very promising from the number 55.
Certainly is indeed. He will be very happy indeed with that. Nascimento goes 5th. Interesting fact, Nilsson and Calamies before that were both set identical lap times. Just shows how close it is around this track. And Nilsson is going to start a qualifying lap now, so we'll see what he can do from that position. He's still in 4th place, and he won't be quite as happy as I would think with that, so let's hope he can do something better than that. Henderson is on a green sector, which means he is up on his previous best, as Butcher and Sene both improved. They're now 6th and 7th. Glenn Cabis also setting a green sector, and Philip Antonia. And Henderson is 2/10 down, but still 2.5 tenths up on his previous best, so this will move him up. And it probably will move him up into, well, he might squeeze onto the front row provisionally. Still only 5 minutes left. It's only a 10-minute qualifying session, Ben, so interesting to see whether people will be able to squeeze in decent flying laps as Henderson crosses the line at 53.8, so lost a bit of time in that final sector. It'd be interesting to see whether people will be able to get a decent run.
Yeah, definitely, and also what might be quite interesting, I think we're seeing drivers not just doing one flying lap on their tyres. They might sacrifice the slight performance advantage gained with brand new tyres and do a second lap just to try and get some clean laps in. It's certainly, towards the end of the session, the last couple of minutes, people will just add another couple of clicks of fuel in and go out and do a couple of laps just so they can get a lap in. I think we haven't seen the best from Jesper Thorberg yet. He did a 53.2 in practice, so I wonder if he can get up there. He's 3/10 down on his best at the moment.
This is what I mean about traffic, incidentally. This is Dino Paolini, and Paolini is not a slow driver, and he's down in 17th position. He set first sector time then, which was half a second off the leaders as we slight screen freeze as Nascimento rejoins the game. And he's not a slow driver. He's been doing fairly well. He's in the top 10 in the championship, and he's miles down the field. And this is the reason he's got traffic everywhere. That's Ryan Callan, who's down in 9th, and he won't be happy with that either. And if we go on board with Ryan, you can see it's just a huge number of cars in front of him. Look, he couldn't do anything then. He just couldn't do anything and had to hit the back of Paolini. Just no room for manoeuvre.
I think that's one of, probably the biggest factors of this track is just the actual track spacing. And, while a lot of drivers won't like it, in terms of spectating, it's really going to shake the grid up. As we've seen, Callan down in 9th, as you said, Paolini's down there. But then you look at the guys in the top 5, you've got David Yuns up there in 3rd, and you're not used to seeing him running up there with the championship contenders. James Johnson's up in 8th, you can see Wiesemüller's in 10th, McNaughton's down in 13th. It's a very shaken up grid, and with 2 minutes left, it may have a touch of desperation start to set in for some of these drivers.
It's certainly going to be interesting to see whether people throw a good lap away just because they haven't got a good banker lap in, and it's so important to get that banker lap in, as Henderson is still green, so this will improve on his previous best. Green obviously meaning that's improving on your previous best, purple meaning that's an overall best, and Henderson stays 5th actually, but does improve his time. Is anyone else on a lap at all? Jesper is in 2nd position now with a 53.314. Look at that! Look at the times there, 3:08, 3:14, 3:29. So Jesper right up there in 2nd place, and looking to improve now as he heads out of the pit lane. Tommy Nilsson is down. Calamies is not on a lap yet. David Yuns, that's a stellar lap, isn't it?
Absolutely, he's done a fantastic job there, David. I'm sure he'll be very happy with that. And he's got a prime starting spot as well. If he can keep it there, he'll be on the 2nd spot on the grid. He's got right in his view, provisionally will be Jesper Thorberg, and that's going to be a big motivational factor going into the opening corner. He's a 10th down at the moment, but as you say, Thorberg's up in 2nd now. I still think no one can really rule him out of perhaps the championship here, because Calamies has had a thunderous start to the season. Last race, Nilsson began to challenge him, of course, just narrowly missing out on a victory in the first race and getting one in the second. And now you're seeing the likes of Thorberg just starting to sneak in there, and just look at the difference between Thorberg and Calamies. It's just a hundredth of a second split them, so put that in a race with a track nature like this, and it's gonna be phenomenal.
Sene moves up to 6th position while you were talking, and he does a 53.6, so just 3/10 down on the leaders, and he puts him all the way down in 6th, so shows how tight it is. Henderson's lap has been ruined as he moves past Andy Johns. Nothing that these guys can do, of course, they're on hot laps as well, but Henderson is going to lose out there. Chris Butcher just about to cross the line. Is he going to improve? No, he's done a 53.7 so far. We've got Wiesemüller, who is green. Paolini as well is green. Tamas Fott is also green, so we'll see Wiesemüller still green but only just, so we might improve. Tamas Fott coming towards the line now, stays 12th, so it's very tight in there. Oh, Paolini's miles up on his current best. As I was saying, Paolini looks like one of those unfortunate people that's been stuck in traffic, and I don't know if you've been monitoring people stuck in traffic, Ben, but is there anyone that really stands out?
I've been trying to, but my wonderful internet from in the middle of the countryside isn't doing me any favours at the moment. But yeah, like you were saying earlier, there were people doing very quick first sectors, but as I was saying earlier, the lines you take into that first complex where the sector split is, like Robert Wiesemüller, he's gone purple. But that might just be, it might be because he's quick, or it might be because he's taken more speed into that first complex.
We will follow Wiesemüller around as Navarro moves up into 19th position. As I just scroll through the field for you, Draska is green as well. Oh, and Wiesemüller is, and Calamies is purple as well through sector 1, so we'll keep an eye on that. Oh, and he's purple through sector 2, so we'll go back to Calamies in a moment. Wiesemüller coming towards the line. Let's see whether he can improve. I think it will improve. Will it improve his position? Oh, look at that. He improves his time, doesn't improve his position. Calamies is going quick though, and he comes towards the line now, and he's done a 53.3. Is this going to improve him? Nobody stays on provisional pole as a result. There's no seconds left at all. Talbot crosses the line. He doesn't improve either. Here comes Tommy Nielsen and Liam. It's not going to be good enough, is it?
No, it's not looking like it at the moment. He's already 4 tenths down, but it will be such a big upset in this series if Nielsen can get up there. We know he's got the pace. He's now a race winner in this World Supertech Series. If he could be a pole sitter as well, but look at Tolberg. I'm not sure that would count if the session's over, because he crosses the line after the actual session's finished.
It'll count.
Lap will count.
It'll count if he completes the lap in time. There's actually a countdown. It's 20 seconds after the final person on a lap crosses the start-finish line. And obviously, with such a short lap, Talbot's thought, oh no, there we go, you see. See, qualifying moves on, and Talbot was just 10 seconds away from completing the lap. We don't know, obviously, whether that would have been good enough for pole, but it may have been, may not, who knows. But anyway, runs down the grid, Ben. It was quite an interesting qualifying session, but still a predictable outcome, you'd have to say, for the pole position winner.
Yeah, certainly reasonably predictable. Ivor Calamy's been very dominant so far this season, and yet again he sticks it on pole position. But like I said, Jesper Tolberg was strong showing in practice before the event, and again he's right up there, and it was so close between the first three. It was a bit of a shame Jesper couldn't finish that lap. I think it was only 6 thousandths down after the second sector. But I'd just like to say a shout out to David Ewan. That is a stunning lap time, and his best his PB for this track.
Yeah, it's always important to set your PB in qualifying. I'm kind of famous for not doing that. I set a PB before and then go 3 tenths slower in qualifying and invariably qualify down in 5th or 6th. But some drivers can really pull it out, and the pressure does help them. I have to say Damien Henderson in 5th place. That's a good result for him, a decent result. Nascimento will be very disappointed with 9th after topping practice times early on, and he's been right up there in practice times as well. Down in 9th position. He's got a lot of work to do from there. Who else have we got? We've got James Johnson in 10th. Callan down in 11th. Obviously didn't get a clear lap at all. I'm sure we'll find out exactly what the reason was with an interview later, but I think that's the most likely reason. He certainly looked like he was caught up in traffic every time we followed him. McNaughton and Centel 14th and 15th. Paolini did make it up to 12th in the end. Who else have we got? Adrian McNaughton, he's been in the top 6 before, so he'll be a little bit disappointed with that. And further back, Ockerclint, Rodriguez and Johns rounding out the field, with Ray Lilly in 24th. And the smaller grid should enable us to have a slightly cleaner start, I should think, than the first race at Curitiba, which was a bit of a nightmare, wasn't it, Liam?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, it's got a very unique sort of starting system, this series, so the drivers have to go onto the grid. They do start on a rolling start, essentially. Have a formation lap, as you can see, Beto Rodriguez getting himself involved in a little bit of action there. But it's very unique, and I think it caught a lot of drivers out, because you have to wait for that green flag signal, and the rest of the field want to power down as much as possible and get it on the throttle as quickly as possible. But if you get on it too quickly and have to check up, the rest of the guys will go thinking that the green flag is gone, and you just end up with carnage, which is exactly what happened just a few weeks back.
And of course, 1 or 2 drivers worried a little bit about the track boundaries, but they are going to play a role, aren't they, Ben?
Yeah, definitely. I think David Unit was just saying in the chat that he's a bit worried that he might have taken too much curve on one of the corners. Like the chicane, I think probably is the first corner, and the second part of the first chicane, if I can get my words out. It's very easy to take a little bit too much curve and exceed the track boundaries. And like I said, turn 3, the exit of turn 3 going into turn 4 will lead to a penalty, unfortunately.
Yeah, it certainly will. There's no excuse really, and you'd have to say drivers of this calibre, Liam, you kind of expect them to do a little bit of a better job than running wide all the time. And obviously, I'm not saying they're doing that, but it's a possibility that 1 or 2 of them may have tripped up on their qualifying laps.
Absolutely, but I mean, this track does catch a lot of people out. Obviously, the big fact being those anti-cut strips, those big yellow barriers. There are a few runoff areas, as you see Beto getting it a bit wrong there. But there's a lot of opportunity for error as opposed to rectifying it, and that's one of the big factors. And even the Giants in this league, we saw Ivar Calamy's getting a little bit wobbly in practice earlier on, and it's just purely down to the nature of the track, but that's what makes this such a good venue for an event like this.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be very exciting racing for sure. It's certainly not the widest track that we visit this season, but yeah, very, very fast, very slow, and quite technical, particularly in the middle sector. But yeah, like I said, a couple of reasonably good overtaking places. Certainly the end of the back straight is where we'll see most of the overtaking moves, I would have thought, with the use of push to pass particularly. Maybe the first corner if you're brave enough, but I think it's certainly going to be very exciting with probably quite a lot of contact and fighting going on. It will be very interesting to see how Ryan Callan does from 11th place, I think he was. He's obviously a very good racer and had a very good strong showing in the last race with was it 3rd place I think in the end, or did he get taken by Jesper? I can't quite remember, but he had a very strong showing, and you have to say he's doing very well because he hasn't been racing rear-wheel drive cars for the last couple of years, I think. Just been doing the virtual Clio series, which are front-wheel drive and very different to drive. So well done to him, and be interested to see how he does. But yeah, I think we could see possibly some upsets going on with the amount of close racing we've got. Jesper Torberg, I think, has a good chance at a victory with his pace. But yeah, there's certainly some interesting racing coming.
Absolutely. Obviously, one thing that we've learned over the years here in Touring Pro Series is you never write off Jesper Torberg. Doesn't matter how late he joins in the season. I mean, you know, he missed the opening round. Of course, he made his debut last week, but he made such an impression. And if there's one man that's going to shake up this midfield, it's going to be him, because the guys who used to be fighting for perhaps a podium will now be fighting for maybe 2 or 3 positions below that, because of just what this man brings to the series. As warm-up session hit 0, of course, Jesper will start 2nd on the grid, and I definitely wouldn't write him off for a victory here. And of course, if he does win today, that'll be the first non-GT Omega victory of the season. So how much of a turning point would that be in the championship?
And we'd have to say it would be a huge turning point in the championship. Calamise and Nielsen, they're a little bit untouchable at the moment. That was the pit lane I was showing you, where everyone is without garages for the first time this season, simply because this track doesn't have garages. It's not because of any sort of TPS decision. So they all sort of line up in the pit lane. It looks quite nice, but we'll wait for them to all join the grid, where it'll look even nicer. And it'll be interesting to see whether people behave themselves on the formation lap. Remember, it's 160 kilometers an hour, or 100 miles an hour if you work in the Old English, and they can do that until the slow down signal is given by race control, at which point they must slow down to a maximum speed of 65 kilometers an hour, or 40 miles an hour, where they get into 2x2 formation, and they roll around waiting for the green, green, green signal to start the race, which is also given by race control. And at that point they may overtake, they may race, they may do whatever they like, as long as it's within the TPS rules. So it'll be interesting to see who gets the jump. And you'd have to say, last time out it was Butcher and Callan. Oh, and Junt's lost it! Sorry, look, Junt has lost it here on the formation lap. I hope he hasn't damaged his car at all. And he just completely lost it out of that corner, and that's going to mess up the grid. And hopefully race control will notice that and slow down the field a little bit earlier this time. So is that just a bit of a brain fade from David?
I don't know. I mean, you can see him frantically trying to get the tyres back up to temperature. Maybe the cold tyres caught him out. I mean, we've seen it before in warm-up laps. You push a bit too hard or focus too hard, and you can just overdrive the car trying to get those tyres on. We'll do the opposite, as you can see him locking up now, trying to get some more heat into them. But it's definitely not going to aid his confidence at all, and obviously had a great starting position as well. He will start in P4, I believe. But I mean, the thing is, now though, he's got to not only get the tyres and engine up to temperature, he's got to pray that there's no damage to the front end of that car, because that's going to really hinder him in the opening stint of his race.
It certainly is. We're just waiting for all of the cars to come onto the start-finish straight, and they're still waiting for every car to come onto the straight, and they're coming up towards the start-finish line now, and we wait for the green-green signal to signal the start of the race. At the back of the field, cars are everywhere, and I think we may have to give a go-around signal this time around, because there's a huge pile-up in the background, and I think that's probably going to have to be the race control signal. So this is going to be this is a first for the WSS, and everyone's going to have to steadily slow down, and as the cars at the back of the field sort themselves out.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Exactly what we were talking about in the previous rounds with the opening pile-ups. A prime example there of just cars coming through the backfield, getting on it too early, thinking that as soon as they're at the back of the field, they're on the straight, they can power it. But it's quite the opposite. You've got to wait for the car in front, and if you don't do that, well, that's a prime example of what can happen.
It certainly is. They'll have to line up in the order they are in now, so I'll just make sure that everyone knows that.
Yeah, it's a bit of we saw this at Curitiba, particularly in the first race. A bit of lack of concentration really by the guys at the back of the grid, not keeping up. I mean, the slowdown signal was given quite a long way, you know, well enough time to get into formation. But it is very tight last complex, so trying to go 2 by 2 through there is quite difficult.
It certainly is. We're just waiting for race control to signal the restart of the race. This will be the second time the green signal is given. Let's hope that people are a little bit more sensible this time around. There's quite a few cars now on the pit straight. Looks like perhaps everyone is in a little bit of a better order, and we wait for the signal, and there it goes, and it's a big battle at the front of the field. There's more damage going on. I wonder if that's car bits being flicked up. Calamies takes the lead then, so Talborg is in second place, Nilsson in third, Sene is demoted to fourth position because Damien Henderson comes through on the outside, and that was quite a good move through around the outside, and they've created a little bit of a gap. Nato Nascimento is up to 6th, so that's a good start from him, and he's been making his way through the pack, Liam, early on, as Talborg is defending now hard from Tommy Nilsson. You'd have to say Nilsson looks very racy indeed early on. Here comes Talborg.
Yeah, Talborg has to hold that inside line. Nilsson try and take it on the outside. Can't get it done through there. It'd be too risky this early on as he breezes past the anti-cut strip. Talborg now currently in a GTO Mega Sandwich. He's not going to like that rear view. Nilsson tucked up right behind him. So you can see the rest of the field now throwing through. A bit of a wiggle there from Wiesemüller, who's up to 6th. So great start for him. Tveit up in 8th. There is still some debris on the pit straight. As you can see, Calamies does do the fastest lap of the race so far. But for now, it's looking like as long as Tommy Nilsson's there, as he goes a bit deep there, but Talborg will have to put more focus into defending as opposed to stalking down Eva.
And you'd have to say that Damien Henderson's been left for dust here. It's 3 seconds back of the leaders and 2 seconds back of Tommy Nilsson as people enter the pits left, right and centre. I'm sure Ben will be on it looking for who's retired and who is doing what in the pit lane. We'll jump to him in a minute, but obviously Damien Henderson a good few seconds behind the lead. Oh, and Talbot cuts right across the curve there. He's got to be careful he doesn't do that too many times or he will suffer a penalty. It is easy to do as Henderson leads the trading pack really, and it's Nascimento from Wiesemüller, and Wiesemüller is having to defend hard from Sene as well. David Junt down in 8th, but he won't be too disappointed with that. He's going side by side with someone as they come onto the pit straight for what is going to be the 5th time. It's actually the fourth time we've been round on a racing lap, and the 3rd since the restart of the race, Liam.
Yeah, very chaotic start to the race, and you can see how much the field has sort of slimmed down now. And it's not, I wouldn't say for the best, but it's definitely enabled the drivers that were perhaps a bit fearful or a bit more cautious going into this, because they've now got a bit of breathing space to try and focus on getting the job done and getting some good healthy points.
They certainly have. We'll head further back slightly because a good start from Adrian McNaughton, who is up to 11th, or Adrian McNaughton. Thomas Fott in 12th position as well. He's had a decent start to get up to 12th. Matt Sentel and Chris Butcher down in 14th. I wonder what happened to him. Is something's happened to him, because there's no way he'd normally be down in 14th position now. He is. So I'm not quite sure what happened to him. As I say, Ben, I'm sure is on it. Oh, and someone in the wall there. I'm not quite sure who that was. Perhaps one of the. It can't have been Henderson. He's in 4th. It did look like a blue machine. Could have been Dino Paolini actually coming out of the pit lane. In fact, there are people coming out of the pit lane now. Nascimento all over the back of Henderson. Look at this.
Nascimento desperate to make up for that kind of time lost. He knows he can get past Henderson. Just got to find the right moment to do so. You can see him trying to push on, and what an opportunity this is for both of these drivers. We've seen him constantly up there in the top 10, scoring good points. Now they go head to head through the chicane. They go trying to miss the anti-cut shows. You can see Wiesemüller and Junt just hanging in the background. Not doing too much yet. Oh, it's a late move, and he's gone for that. And that's, oh, he's hit him. Almost was a bit late there, but I don't think Nascimento left himself enough room and was forced to take evasive action. Oh,
and Nilsson is right on the back. In fact, he's gone through past Talbot, but he bounces over the curbs. Oh, he nearly lost the back end, and Talbot sweeps around the outside and retakes 2nd place. He says, "Thank you very much. I am not having you take that position away from me, and I will take that back from you, Tommy Nilsson." And it must have been a push-to-pass manoeuvre down the pit straight, which really caught Talborg out. And Nilsson set the fastest lap whilst he was doing that. But both of these two battling is letting Calamies run away at the head of the field.
Yeah, exactly what we were talking about earlier on. 2.1 seconds the gap between Calamies and Jesper Talborg at the moment. Of course, Nilsson sits just behind him 3rd. This battle still rages on. This is for 4th position. So you can see now Wiesenmüller and Jun are gaining on them. So while Henderson is trying to defend against Nascimento, and Nascimento out of the corner where he just got it so wrong last time. And you can see now, just slowly creeping into the background of your screens, are 2 very feisty guys who would love a top 5.
They certainly would. I'm going to head back through the field because we've got Chris Butcher. In fact, he's actually a few seconds ahead of it. Oh, look at Callan! Oh, and look at Ray Lilly bouncing over the curb there. And I'm not quite sure exactly what happened there. And Callan's just coming through some back markers. That's Beto Rodriguez as well. In that orange 88 machine. He's obviously a lap down after the incident on the perhaps the first start or maybe even the second start. There was a secondary incident. James Johnson, nearly hitting the back of him. There's also another raging battle going on here between Tveit, Paolini, McNaughton and Tamas Fott. So battles all over the field. I don't particularly want to miss the battle between second and third, but we'll give this just a bit of airtime as Paolini struggles to show his pace, and we've got Ben down in the pit lane trying to uncover exactly what happened.
Yeah, I've just been trying to look through the replays, but it's not been very helpful at all. But I think what happened is after the first start, obviously people mixed up positions. There was quite a lot of contact going on at turn 1, as we expected before the race. And then after that, obviously people are out of position. And then there was quite a lot of confusion going on as the race control tried to slow the field down again for a complete restart. And obviously they had to start in the positions that they were in when they slowed down. So I think people are slowing down at different places and people out of position. I think Chris and Ryan had some kind of maybe coming together or similar kind of incident, because they were both lost a huge amount of place. Unfortunately I didn't catch it on my replay, but I will try and look back after the race and find out. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they come through the field, because they're obviously, well, they're making their way through quite nicely. But yeah, there are lots of fast guys out of position at the moment.
So thank you for that, Ben. So Calamies leads on lap 10 of 38. That's the 8th racing lap since the restart, and he leads from Talborg. Nielsen is in 3rd position. Nascimento behind him in 4th. Is still he's got by Damien Henderson. Didn't see that live, but probably did him on the back straight using push to pass. We're not going to catch it on replay, unfortunately. So we'll go back to live action. Henderson now has Wiesenmüller all over the back of him, Liam.
Absolutely, look at him trying to force a way through. Oh, and a bit of a twitch here purely because there's just getting no cold air into the engine. You lose so much downforce when you're in the toe off the car in front. The thing is with this track, there's not much room to get out of it because the actual track lines are so narrow. But now Wiesenmüller trying to force a move perhaps. Looks to the inside. He's going to be very brave to not skip over that curb, but he's done it, and that's going to allow Henderson to come back round the inside. They're still side by side, pushing each other essentially, and Wiesenmüller's got it done. Surely we can close the inside line. That's a little bit cheeky, but Henderson has provisionally lost that one.
He has indeed, and obviously Henderson will be wanting to fight through and get that position back as soon as he can, but Nascimento has gapped them, and Henderson looking for a way through. Past Wiesenmüller, he's looking for a way through on the inside. Look at Junt, he's all over the back of these two. I'll be very impressed with Junt actually. Since his formation lap spin, he's got his head together and crept up onto the back of the faster, technically on paper, faster guys in front of him. Junt, of course, himself is no slouch in isolation, but you'd have to say he's not quite on the level of guys like Talborg, Nielsen, Nascimento. So to qualify in 4th position and to be running in strong 7th position is a very good result indeed. Of course, he actually beat me in the Vic Supercars race, as here comes Henderson on the inside of Wiesenmüller. He obviously used push to pass, and he's done it on the inside. Here comes Junt looking for a way through as well. He's not going to get that round Wiesenmüller that easily. Henderson taking the position away from Wiesenmüller then, and it's back to status quo.
Yeah, absolutely. So Henderson finally gets it back. That's the advantage of push to pass. Is Wiesenmüller going to eat one down the back stretch? That may be, because look how much I pulled away from Junt. He dives up the inside, and look at Henderson trying to gain that inside line. However, Wiesenmüller is reluctant to give it to him. He has to sweep it round the outside. Junt goes extremely deep, and somehow Henderson clings onto that one with dear life. And right now Wiesenmüller just has nowhere to go and still ends up stuck behind Damien Henderson.
Something's happened to Chris Butcher and Ryan Callan. Meanwhile, I have no idea what's happened to them, but they've dropped off the face of the earth. And it looks like they're out. Looks like Callan's out. So let's have a look, see if we can find out what happened to him. It looks like it might be a little bit too far back to me. Let's have a quick check. I'm not going to rewind for much longer. No, we'll give up. So Callan out then. So from 3rd place in the championship, Ryan Callan this is the Callan we're talking about. and he is out, so he's not going to score any points from this race. Chris Butcher is a lap down in 19th. I wonder if he's actually a lap down or not. Obviously some serious shenanigans going on in the background there, Liam.
Yeah, absolutely, and again, this is just down to the nature of the track. Now we've got one of the major championship contenders out of the race. We've got one of them down in 19th, and this is just surely going to play into the hands of your race leader Calamies, who's still got a 3.6 second gap over his teammate Nilsson, who has passed Jesper Tolberg. Jesper still clinging on though, he's only a few tenths away. You can see in there that number 14 car, the most illustrated driver in Touring Pro Series. He would love to separate himself in between the GT Omegas and split them up. But we'll see what he can do, as he's just fighting too hard. You can see the back end stepping away as he just tries to push this car over the limit.
I think we're missing a trick here, to be honest. I think Talborg was in front of Nilsson last time we checked, so Nilsson has obviously made a move on Jesper Talborg at some point, and I'm not quite sure exactly where he's done that, but we didn't quite catch it on the broadcast, so we'll endeavour to find out exactly what happened. I'm sure Ben will tell us, or perhaps he's got some other news for us. I wonder if have we got hold of Ben Davis. Ben, are you there?
Yes, I just spoke to Even Navarro, and he was saying sort of roughly what happened on the initial warm-up lap when there was quite a lot of contact. Again, there was people at the back of the grid trying to really catch up and keep up with the field, and apparently that the guys in front braked, and then there was contact, and even himself lost his rear wing, so I had to pit. Obviously the rear wings make a massive difference in these cars. It's undrivable. But yeah, it's a shame that the startup procedure is still not clean, is it? And seeing contact before the race has started it's not really acceptable. It's a bit of a shame, really.
Yeah, it's tough for these guys. If you're in very close proximity at the start and someone makes a small error, it can have a big concertina effect down the field. That's probably one too many incidents really this season. We'll have to have a big check as TPS staff and have a good look and see whether we can spot any misdemeanors that are worth having a look at. And obviously it's not nice to see 3 or 4 guys drop out early on. We've got so far we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 retirements. Obviously Callan I think is a separate issue, so at least 3 of those from that Starline incident, so not good really to have in the championship. Henderson is still staying ahead of Wiesemüller, and Talborg's dropped off the back of Nilsson, so I wonder if Talborg's going to try and close back up to Nilsson. Further back, Senne's got through ahead of David Yunt. We didn't see that happen either. I wonder if Yunt made a mistake, but that's a swap position. So Senne moves up into 7th position for THR Purple ahead of David Yunt. Talash Fott for Independent Racing is heading Eric Tveit, and Tveit is 30 seconds down on the leader nearly now. So and James Johnson in 11th position as well. And Fott doing a decent job in 9th, and he's going to pick up strong points here as a result of other people making mistakes. And James Johnson and Tveit side by side. Looks like James Johnson, perhaps he's pushed to pass. We've got the draft. He sweeps around the outside of Tveit, and JJ's got a huge damage to his car, hasn't he? Actually, Liam.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's happened there. It's definitely not looking very good for him at the moment. We'll need to try and push his way back through the field, but I mean, definitely could have been some early contact for him. But we'll see what happens there. We've still got quite a way to go in this race. As you can see there, car up in the background, I'm assuming that's to let people through. As you can see, McNaughton, again, we expect him to be a little bit higher today. But again, that's just what this track does. Look at Tamas Foth. He's done a great job, I think, up there in 9th today.
He certainly is. As I say, he's going to pick up some very strong points. We've got Ben in the pit lane telling us how Jesper got passed by Tommy Nilsson.
Yeah, it was Jesper actually that made a very, very slight mistake, and it just shows how little mistakes can cost you a place. He slightly missed the apex going into the after the back straight, and Tommy Nilsson got a much better exit out of that little complex and managed to get down the inside of him from the very short straight into the penultimate or last corner. The last corner isn't really a corner, and he just got a slingshot and got down the inside of him. So a very slight mistake cost Jesper that place.
And that's just how tight it is at the front of the field. That's just how good the opposition is actually. You make a small error and it can cost you position. That's what's happened obviously to Jesper today. And you can see Tommy Nilsson using push to pass there on the front stretch rather than using on the back stretch. That's obviously been his tactic. He obviously feels it's more beneficial to him to do that. And obviously these guys, who am I to say, as Asserklint endeavours to get out of the way. I have to say that's not very good. Oh, don't cut across. And he needs to get out of the way pretty soon, actually, of Tommy Nilsson. This is really hurting Tommy Nilsson. He's got Talborg catching up in the background, and he'll be on him very shortly. And I don't think Tommy Nilsson will be too impressed by Jonathan Ockerclinth, I think is how he prefers himself to have his name pronounced. And is he now going to get in the way of Talbog? No, he gets straight out of the way. So he's obviously having a race. Yeah, he did. So he's obviously having a little bit of a race with Draska and doesn't want to get held up too much, Liam.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not what he needs, to be honest. I'm sure Tommy will have a couple of words to say about that after the race, but we'll see what it does, because however, for him it could be bad. We're looking at the gap has actually gone down a bit now because of that. Nielsen's actually pulled out a 1.4 second gap overall to Jesper Tolberg, which is crucial, because now if he's got a bit of leeway between him and Tolberg, and you know, the last thing you want is someone like Jesper breathing down your ear end all day.
It's definitely not what you want. I can tell you that from being Jesper's teammate in various past TPS leagues. So Damien Henderson still behind Robert Wiesenmuller, and Henderson was looking right on the back of Wiesenmuller just a couple of laps ago. So Wiesenmuller pulling out a couple of car lengths, and Chris Butcher, Dino Paolini, they are down in 14th, 15th, struggling to make their way through. I will actually drop back to Ockerclinth, because him and Draska, I believe Draska's got no rear wing, and he's keeping up with Ockerclinth. I need to get his name right. And those two battling away. It's interesting to see that Draska is with no rear wing, and obviously with a straight line speed disadvantage, which is definitely what he's got. He's still keeping up with Ockerclinth.
Absolutely. I mean, it's obviously some indication that Ernie's definitely got a little bit of pace there, so we'll have to see what he can do during the second race. But for now, I mean, see what he can do. Obviously he's going to lose that downforce as he pulls out of the way. So I believe that's till Nascimento through.
Yep, that's Nato Nascimento, who is up in 4th position now. No, sorry, he's still in 4th position. I'm getting confused. I thought he'd got ahead of Talbog, and my eyes deceived me for a moment. But yeah, Nascimento having a strong run in 4th. It surprised us that he was so far down the grid. He made his way all the way up to 6th position before the restart, and is now up in 4th. And that's really because of the pace that he was showing in practice. You'd have to say it's a direct result of that. Wiesenmuller and Henderson really the closest battle, apart from Draska and Ockerclinth, of the leaders out on the track at the moment. So we'll try and keep in touch with them, but we'll head down the field and just give some airtime to some people, as we've got a relatively quiet race for the first time this season. Liam, it's been manic the first 2 rounds. It's nice to have a little bit of a chat and perhaps think about the league so far. And who do you think will be able to hold a candle really to the GT Amiga guys?
It's looking at the moment like Jesper Tolberg's the man to do it, but there are some guys out there who may not be quick straight away, but in qualifying they prove to be so deadly. Guys like Nascimento, David Yunt, if they can find a little bit more in that quali setup, they could really shake things up. They may not be able to, you know, hold Calamies up for an entire race, but maybe that opening 5 or 10 laps or so could allow someone to perhaps try and, you know, get a bit of a run on them, such as Jesper Tolberg, as you can see. I think that's Chris Butcher moving out of the way, but I mean, and that's the sight Chris isn't going to see. I think the only chance he'd want to see, look at that GT Omega, is if he was up there fighting with him. I
was just going to say, the reason I wanted to pick up Chris is because he's now going to be lapped by one of his THR teammates, and that's going to be hard for him to swallow. He's obviously I'd had to pit for damage, but that wouldn't put him back a lap. I would think he probably jumped the start, or maybe had to cut the track, had a penalty, a drive-through or stop-go, had to serve that. I would say that's probably the reason, because his car doesn't look too beat up, so unless he had contact with Callan and had to wait for the whole field to go around or something and then made a mistake. I don't know, it's difficult to say. Draska and Ockerclinth still having their battle, and Draska's car is absolute mess. He's got missing rear wing, he's got a missing side pod, he's missing his front flick ups. Oh, and in the background, how did JJ Wang get through there alive? He got so close to the tyre barriers. Let's just have a quick look at this before we head back to live action in the battles. Look at this, Liam. He got so close.
Oh, that's very close.
Oh, he actually hit. He actually hit. This third one.
Extremely close.
On board, you can see just
that was definitely giving him an adrenaline rush or two.
So anyway, we go back to live action, and that was JJ Wang, if I press the right buttons. Mike Bell, currently our final runner, and he's 6 laps down, but good on him for carrying on, and he will score some points if he gets 75% of the race distance. While we've been nattering on, Ben has managed to talk to Ray Lilly down in the pit lane.
Yeah, it's such a shame for Ray Lilly. Again, a victim of the warm-up lap fiasco, if we can call it that. Just people speeding up and slowing down at various times. The guys at the back, slightly further down the grid, are struggling to keep up with the people in front. Ray's not a happy boy at all. He pitted and was going to carry on, and then he made contact with someone at the last corner and got punted out, to use the quote exactly. And but yeah, I think perhaps race control should consider revision of the start procedure, because there's a lot of unhappy drivers further down the field.
Well, it's certainly gonna have to take some looking over, but it's a system that has worked before in the first season, that we didn't have any problems at all. But we might have to go to something like, I don't know, a lower speed limit or something. We'll certainly have a good look. We're not going to throw any ideas around publicly, but it's certainly something that we need to address. And obviously, it's difficult to please everyone, but it's also difficult to drive the cars for them. And if you've got some idiotic driving, then it's a bit tough to control those drivers and make sure they're in the right place at the right time. Ben wants another word.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, they certainly have to be given enough speed on the warm-up lap to get heat in their tyres and brakes, obviously, because you can't start a race with cold tyres and brakes with lots of drivers entering the first corner. But yeah, I mean, I think with the pressure of the race building up, perhaps people could panic on the warm-up lap. I don't know what it is, but yeah, as you said, it has worked in the past, so who knows.
Different set of drivers, different day, and Talborg, just through that second sector, was just 3 tenths behind Tommy Nilsson. I know it's down to 7 tenths, but Nilsson used his push to pass on the start-finish straight there, which is obviously his tactic. It's the only tactic he's using. It's the only time he's using that push to pass. So he is pulling away from Jesper in that final sector, obviously, as they cross the line. But Talborg right up behind Nilsson, especially through this first sector, Liam.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the thing is now Jesper does seem to have that pace, and with Tommy getting a little bit worried and trying to use that push to pass perhaps, that gap has come crunching down over the past 10 laps or so, now down to just 5 tenths, maybe even less, as he almost goes for a look there before Tommy slammed the door shut. But going into the final 11 laps or so, it's going to be extremely close, and I wouldn't write off Jesper yet. Just in front, they've held Kalani pretty well. He's only 5.7 in front, so it's still all to play for, and if Jesper can start perhaps chipping away at that, it's going to start getting close towards the end.
There's plenty of time left. That's a good point, actually. 11 laps left for these guys to make a move, and that just shows you actually the average speed of this track a little bit lower than some of the others. So obviously it's set on distance. Visa Muller and Henderson are very close together as well. Henderson, you can see Visa Muller actually quite large in his view, and Visa Muller will do well to hold off Henderson for the rest of this race. He's in 5th position, is Robert Visa Muller, commonly known as RW, probably only to a few people on the forum, and he's as we said before, he's done a great many of these liveries for the guys out there. He's commonly known as the TPS car livery painter. So if you need a livery for the upcoming Clios, perhaps giving him a PM, he can always say no. And I've dropped a minute there, so we'll skip through as we see Mike Bell getting out the way, and Talborg just 5 tenths behind. So this is the 2 THR green cars, both involved in battles. One with the GT Amiga, and the other one, of course, with the GT Amiga boss, Damien Henderson, and well, the the guy that does the setups, the sort of the main man in GT Amiga. You'd have to say Henderson is for this league, and he's in 6th position, is Henderson, and we're looking at Tommy Nilsson, who is doing a good job to hold off Talborg.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, especially in the opening stint of the race, Talborg definitely looked like the more dominant sort of racer, but over the middle stint especially, I think traffic's played an issue. Nilsson has done well to hold him off, maintain his composure, and not suffer to the pressure that Talborg's just been compiling on him. Nilsson really has matured over these past couple of races. Of course, the victory is definitely going to boost his confidence. He knows he's got the pace to be up there, and knowing that alone is just enough to give you that motivation to look, I am faster than the guy behind me. I don't have to yield because of the reputation he has. I'm up here for a reason, and I can hold it there, and that's definitely what we're seeing today.
He's maintaining that GT Amiga perfect record for the season so far. Calamise is still leading by 5.2 seconds, and he's going to take his 4th win in 5 races. That's an excellent performance for Calamise, and you'd have to say, even at this early point of the season, it's going to be hard to overhaul that kind of pace and that kind of effort. and it's sort of akin to Jensen Button in 2009, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll see what he can do in terms of, you know, going into the final stages of the race. He's still got 9 laps to go, but the gap has actually come down a bit. It's now 5.5, it was 5.7 a few laps ago, so it's going back and forth between the two teammates at the moment. Talborg has slipped away a little bit now as they pass some traffic there, but hopefully when we get into the second race we won't see a start like before, and we'll get some more interesting racing. But in terms of, you know, an actual race here today, due to the nature of the track, it has been a lot less sort of chaotic, if you like, compared to the other rounds, which has enabled some calmer battles and more focus on to just how this race has panned out.
It certainly has. I mean, we've been in a slightly more relaxed mode than we have been before. I'm not complaining too much, but it'll be interesting to see if race 2 does spice up the action a little bit. Of course, we've got lots of guys. I know it says they're 1 lap down. Not all of them are 1 lap down, but we have got lots of guys 1 lap down or more. And it's sort of spread the field right out, and meant that we've only got 2 significant battles on the track at the moment. Henderson, Wiesenmuller, Talborg and Nilsson. And Henderson is in behind Wiesenmuller, looking for a way through. I think he's just biding his time at the moment. David Yunt is a fair distance behind Alexandre Sene, and Tamas Fort a fair distance behind Yunt. So then you've got JJ, James Johnson, is in 10th position. Adrian McNaughton, I've got to stop calling him Adrian, in 11th position with Eric Tveit, who is holding up a couple of guys actually there. He's got Sentel and our race leader, I believe, coming through. So Sentel in behind Tveit, and Tveit's got some damage on the left side of his BMW. It is actually a Chevrolet Shell. He's rebadged it as a BMW, so that's the livery that he's chosen to run. Sentel in 13th position. Place, and they are actually in behind, I believe that was the green machine of Jesper Talborg. So and Talborg's just 4/10 behind Nilsson now, and they're both slipping away from Calamies, so Calamies looks pretty strong at the front of the field.
We saw this before. It's as soon as they engage in battle, that begins to kind of extend, purely because they're too busy focusing and they're getting offline trying to make a manoeuvre stick, and it just gives so much more time to Ivar Calamies, who looks set at the moment, provided nothing goes wrong, to take victory number 4 of the season, which would be quite good. It would be 4 in a row if Tommy Nilsson didn't have his way last time out, and Nilsson, I think, did deserve that victory last time out, of course. He worked hard for it, but again, another second race today. Nilsson's not to be written off yet. He's definitely sticking with Ivar Calamies, and GT Omega really have taken this league by storm.
They have. I mean, we haven't really seen them. I mean, we've seen them in the clears before, with I think it was Rainer Room actually got kicked out of the first round, and then of course you actually had Calamies in that league as well, but Calamies didn't show anything like the pace he's showing in these cars. Obviously much prefers the stock cars to the little Clios, and is doing a great job of really walking away with this championship, and he is definitely the favourite for said championship. Ben's got some news on the battle between Wiesenmuller and Henderson.
Yeah, it's just going to be quite interesting to see whether the tyres play a part of this battle, because it seems that Rob Wiesenmuller's pushed his tyres perhaps a little bit harder than Damien Henderson.
Sorry Ben, we've got Talborg going through on the inside of Nilsson here for second place, so obviously Nilsson's made a slight error, and here comes Nilsson back on the outside, and he goes through on the inside of the final corner. I wonder if Nilsson's got a push to pass left, and I wonder how many Talborg's got saved up. Here's Talborg drafting Nilsson down the straight, right in behind Nilsson, and he's looking for a way through on the inside of turn 1. We'll come back to you in a minute, Ben. I want to hear actually your news about Wiesenmuller. Oh, and Nilsson's run wide at turn 1, and Talborg slips through on the outside. He's going to cut across Nilsson and retain second position after all of that, and they go past Andy Johns, who's been lapped. And look at that, Talborg and Nilsson back and forth for that second position there, Liam. I think we've lost contact with Liam. Go, please carry on with your point, Ben. I'm sorry to cut you off. Oh no, we've got Liam back.
That's my bad.
We've got Liam.
Side by side, I mean, it was just incredible. Nilsson did not want to relinquish that position, purely just out of pure defence. I mean, there was nothing that he could have done in the end, though. Talborg was been slowly creeping up on him over these past 5 laps or so, and eventually got it done. We are running out of time now. We do have around 3.5 laps remaining, but it's all shaping up to be a brilliant climax, if you like. You're taking a look at Henderson gaining on Wiesemüller, who you said, I think Ben has some news on us for that battle.
Yeah, I was just going to say, whilst there was a little lull, but it seemed a bit uninteresting after that little battle. But yeah, I think Wiesemüller has actually pushed his tyres a little bit harder than Henderson in the first few laps. He set a lap time of 53.6, which is only a tenth off the leader Calamy's fastest lap, which is of the fastest lap of the race. And Henderson's is, I think, is about 7/10 slower than that. So perhaps he's saving his tyres for these last few laps, and he certainly is closing in on Wiesemüller, who has been making a few mistakes. I've been watching the last couple of laps. He's been running wide a couple of times, particularly where they are now through this little complex. So it'll be an interesting battle till the end of the race, I think.
Yeah, it's easy to run wide here. There's lots of curb, and you think you can use the curb, but it's actually quite slippery, and tries to push you further wide onto the grass. So obviously Wiesemüller coming unstuck by that fairly innocuous-looking piece of curb. Henderson right in behind Wiesemüller, and you'd have to say Henderson does look the stronger. I agree with you, Ben. I think he's got better tyres. I think he's looked after his tyres strong in a more sort of gradual way than Wiesemüller has. I think Wiesemüller took too much life out of them at the start, and I think he struggles with that in the V8 Supercars Championship as well. So it's a bit of a shame for Wiesemüller, but he's going to be caught by Henderson, and Henderson has done an excellent job so far to stay in there and keep in touch with Wiesemüller. Hasn't made any mistakes. As you say, Wiesemüller has pushed a little bit too hard once or twice, and Henderson does look good for that 5th place.
Well, we'll have to see. As you say, we've only got, well, 2.5 laps remaining now. We were saying how long was left, and it's simply flown by with so much action now. Just a few more laps remaining for everything to kind of fizzle out. We've still got a lot left undecided, of course. This in the main one as Henderson darts up the inside there. Wiesemüller surely defenseless if he doesn't go deep, but he has done, and Wiesemüller slips back through. Textbook stuff there. Mind not to clip the wall on the exit, and provisionally Wiesemüller holds on for just a little bit longer. If he can do that for the next 2 laps, he will have a top 5, but this could not get more close.
It couldn't. I tell you what else couldn't get more close. Look at Nielsen. He's right back on the back of Talborg. That was a gap of nearly a second, and now Nielsen, he's sensing his prey, and his prey is in the form of the THR Green driver, Jesper Talborg. So the GT Amiga versus THR Green. Here comes Nielsen. He's looking for a way through on the inside. He has to go on the outside. Talborg went defensive. Let's have a look who's got it. Oh, Nielsen's going round, isn't he? Surely. No, he completely saved it. He was completely sideways, and he's completely still in this battle. He's still in 3rd, but he's got 1 lap left to have another go at the Dane.
Absolutely. I don't know how he held on to that. That move was just a bit too optimistic, I think. And this has going to allow Jesper Talborg to slowly pull away now. There's a lot to do. The gap's nearly 2 seconds almost on the final lap. And it was just do or die there. He got to the dire moments in the race. And in that situation, you go for it. And he was just so unlucky. But look at the queue of cars behind him now. And I think involved in there is Chris Butcher. And again, he's not going to be happy because he knew if things had gone the way he wanted, he could have perhaps capitalised on that mistake for a position.
It's going to be very interesting to see whether back markers make a bit of an effect. Nielsen now 2 seconds behind. He's going to struggle from there, and I think Wiesemüller and Henderson is much the same. It's over a second. So let's catch up with the leaders. He comes across to take his 4th win out of 5 races so far. Calamy's is looking completely dominant in this championship so far, and that's his 4th win. As I was saying, Talborg takes seconds. He did have a push to pass left, used it on the start-finish line. Nielsen in 3rd. Nato Nascimento is going to come through in a very lonely 4th position, and behind them, well, I would say lonely. I think he's been caught by Wiesemüller and Henderson on that last lap, who are going to come through in 5th and 6th positions respectively. Well done to those two. Alexander Sene. Oh, look at this! David Yunt right on the back of Sene. We haven't been following this battle, but Sene is just about going to hold on to 7th position from David Yunt. An excellent drive from Yunt in the end. 9th position is going to go to James Johnson. 10th is going to go to Tamas Ford. He's done a great job to get into 10th position, and everyone else is a lap down, Liam.
Yeah, I think that's purely due to the first lap carnage, and I guess down to the pure pace of Ivar Calamy's. Another, despite, searching through the rest of the field, we've had Talborg making yet a greater impression in this league, picking up his greatest result yet, of course, 2nd place. Calamy's, I beg your pardon, once again, makes it his 4th victory out of 5 this season. He's surely unstoppable at the moment. This is absolutely great for Ivar Calamies, and of course his teammate in third position. He would have rather it was second, but that's what I was saying about Jesper Tolberg. He's got that ability to shake up the midfield and stop the major points going to perhaps the drivers who would have had it in the first round. But I think, honestly, I think Nato Nascimento has been kind of the unsung hero here today. That's a career best for him this season, for the THR Purple team, to come home in 4th position. We saw him doing a great job in qualifying last time out, so to bring that and translate it into a fantastic race finish surely deserves a pat on the back.
It certainly does. We'll just look at Draska's car as we look through the field. So just to round out the rest of the runners in this race, of course, Adrian McNaughton in 11th, Eric Tveit in 12th position, Matt Sentel took 13th position, a big surprise. Chris Butcher all the way down the field, look at him there, that's a big shame for him. Of course, Paolini, Draska, Ockerklinth, Kabis, Johns and JJ Wang, and I think that is the rest of our finishers actually. Bit of a shame that we didn't get more. Mike Bell was actually a few laps down in 21st, and then the first of our retirees, Ryan Callan, Philip Antonia, Ivan Navarro, obviously Ferreira, Beto Rodriguez and Ray Lilly were the other retirees, so it's a shame for all those guys. Let's hope they can rejoin. We'll just leave it for a couple of minutes of practice, and while we're in practice we'll just take stock of that race, and we'll allow you to do exactly the same as we look at our pre-season, or rather our sort of highlights video of what you can expect when you're watching WSS. And we are going to look at the second qualifying session here for round 3 of the WSS Season 2, and we're at Velopark, and we had an exciting first race, and Ben has got some news on why Chris Butcher was down in 14th place.
Yeah, he was another victim of, well, I say victim of the sort of the restart, and when the go-around signal was given by race control, well, this is his story. He slowed and no one else did, so he lost positions that way and was supposed, out of position for the second restart, and then he had contact with someone at the restart and had damage for the rest of the race, which which he said the car wasn't the same for the rest of the race. And yeah, that was his lack of pace. So yeah, he certainly has a lot more to give than 14th place or wherever he finished in the first race. So it'll be interesting to see if the second race warm-up lap and everything could be a bit cleaner, and hopefully see the potential of people like Ryan Callan, Chris Butcher, and the others. Hopefully more people finishing the race.
Certainly will be interesting as Ivar Kalami sets the early pace. He does a 53.4. Nascimento just previously had set a 53.6, so some guys quite close at the top of the field. Nascimento going quicker though, Liam.
Absolutely, we said before this man's qualifying pace is just terrific. We saw him last round almost would have surely took pole position if it wasn't for a little bit of contact during the lap. But he's definitely looking to keep improving now. He's again a driver that's matured his driving style over the past couple of races. He's faster, as is Calamies. Nilsson's on a personal best, so time's flooding in thick and fast. Let's see what he does through the second sector then. Down the straight he comes. But that THR purple car, as ever, is looking extremely good right now. In the capable hands of Nascimento, he still holds second. And look how close he's just 0.03 of a second away from Ivar Calamies. So very close. Calamies, however, is improving. He crosses the line as a 53.2. So incredible pace there at the moment.
Certainly is. We've got Wiesenmüller going quicker on his previous best. He's coming towards the start-finish line now. Sentol moves up into 11th. Meanwhile, Wiesenmüller goes from 14th to 12th. Didn't improve. Cullen has only set a 54.4. That's a very slow lap time indeed for Cullen's standard. He'll be looking to improve on that. Paolini has gone green. He'll be looking to improve. James Johnson as well has gone green, but he's 5/10 down on the leader, so he'll be looking to get into the 53s and perhaps move himself up into perhaps row 3 with Chris Butcher. Let's see whether he can achieve that as he comes on the start-finish straight now, and he's going to come across the line. Let's see what time he can do.
It's not good enough at the moment. James still in 8th. I mean, and this is quite key as well. Callan still down in 15th at the moment, needs to find some pace. The guys around him all improving, one of those being Wiesenmüller. Of course, had a great result last time, but there are guys improving. Callan needs to try and do something special right now, because he won't be very content with 15th place, I can tell you that.
No, he's got some work to do from there. JJ Wang being ahead of him will not exactly impress him. David Junt is coming across the line now. He's green, as is Butcher and Talborg. Junt stays in 7th place, not quite good enough. Butcher is 5/10 down through the first 2 sectors. He's still green, but not by much. Talborg also green through sector 2. But it's the purple times that we're looking for, and I don't think anyone's going to get quite that close to Calamies, actually. That was a very good time from Calamies indeed. Butcher moves up into 4th, alongside Nilsson provisionally on the grid. Sene just in front of him on track, but he's down in 10th position, and Callan is going quicker, so let's see whether Callan can get somewhere. He's 4/10 up on his current best, and he's 3/10 down, 3.8 down on the leaders, which would put him in 4th position, something like that. So let's see what he does. Ben's got some news on Calamies' lap. I wonder if it was a cut.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't a cut. I was just going to say that's a properly good lap, because that's his best lap that he's achieved online at all. Obviously, I think he probably did some offline practice before, but that lap time of 53.2 is only slightly slower than Jesper's fastest lap of practice, and very good to get that done in this qualifying session.
Butcher coming through, he's currently green, thank you for that, Ben, and I agree with you, it's a stunning lap time from Calamies. Butcher stays in 4th position, but does improve his time. Talborg also is going to improve his time, and also is going to stay in 6th, I believe. Let's see what happens as he comes across the start-finish line. Yes, he stays 6th, yes, he improves his time, aren't I good? He's only 7 thousandths behind Henderson, though. Very tight in the middle of the pack, actually. Tamas Fox moved up to 14th position, McNaughton's going quicker, but none of the leaders really showing stellar pace as Wiesenmüller trips across the curbs and across the grass through turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, very different qualifying session than what we first expected, I think. Nascimento currently holding his own in 2nd. Tommy Nilsson 3rd, Butcher up to 4th. He needs a good result after last race. Henderson again staying there in 5th. Holberg currently 6th. With 2 minutes 15 left on the clock, it's not looking very good now for the likes of him. Brian Callan's got himself up to 10th, Sene's down in 12th, Wiesenmüller's 9th. So a very, very shaken up sort of top 15.
Callan isn't actually going quicker than his previous best on this lap, so we'll follow someone else. Let's see if we can find someone down the field. We'll just scroll through the times. JJ Wang's improving on his time. He's still 5/10 down on the leaders though, but this would move him up quite significantly through the grid. Ocker Clint, I don't think he's choosing to set a lap time. He's down in 24th. He hasn't set a lap time yet. Same for Andy Johns and Mike Bell. They might just be waiting at the back of the field. That is a tactic that I've seen being used actually. With these starts, if you're on the final row of the grid, there's no one who's going to hit you from behind. And the guys at the back of the field really competing for that final row of the grid and looking for the best possible way of picking their way through the pack, but that's one of the reasons why we do get incidents as JJ comes across the line. Let's see whether he can move up. He doesn't actually improve. Vinicius Ferreira sets a time good enough for 20th, and Mike Bell does set a lap time. He is in 23rd at present. Let's go back to the leaders because Tommy Nilsson is going green, and he needs a green lap time, doesn't he? At least. In fact, he's gone second position. Look at that from Tommy Nilsson, and that's exactly what he needed, Liam.
Yeah, absolutely. He couldn't have asked for better. I mean, he definitely needed that sort of motivation. He's still 2/10 off of his teammate Calamies, but he needs that front row. He needs a chance to try and get his teammate into turn 1 if he wants to keep his title hopes alive. Of course, with Calamies winning races left, right and centre, it's Calamies' 4 to Nilsson's 1, so he's going to be dropping points each race if he keeps coming home second, which for the team is absolutely great. They can keep at the front of the field. So if Nilsson wants to win a world championship, he needs to try and perhaps trying to nail Calamies into turn 1, and there's no better way than doing that than starting right next to him on the grid when you get that green, green, green signal. Indeed,
it's exactly where you want to be on row 1. Clear track ahead of you, you can sort of get a jump on the opposition. Nilsson doesn't improve. Muller is going a lot quicker than his previous best. This might move him up significantly. Sene needs to set a quicker lap time, and Paolini as well has gone green. We'll follow Muller because he was 2/10 up on his previous best. He's 2/10 down on the leaders. That's a very quick second sector as well. This could move him right up into the mix. Just 2/10 down on Calamies would put him on the front row of the grid. So let's see whether Muller can improve all the way up to second, Liam.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what he can do then as he comes across the line. Muller's been flying at the moment, and he doesn't improve that. He goes to 6th, so a big improvement. And again, that's much like we used to see. Look at Adrian McNaughton up to 8th now. So Sene's on the move as well in 10th. 10 seconds left in this session. A last chance saloon as some of these drivers. JJ Wang breaks into the top 10.
JJ Wang, that's a really good lap time for him. Up in 9th position. That's very quick indeed. Sene in 11th. Look at Ryan Cullen again down in 13th. Just hasn't got the pace this time. And Sene is not going green. Yunt is going green though, and he's again another one of those drivers just a couple of tenths down on the leaders. He had a very good lap indeed. I don't think he'll ever get anywhere near that this time round, but he could improve here and could easily slide himself up. Oh look, he's 4/10 up on his previous best. This is definitely going to improve David Yunt, and we're going to look for maybe a 53.7, maybe a 53.8, something like that. Moving up a couple of rows, that'll do him nicely. Here he comes then across the line. David Yunt racing for the line, moves up. No, he doesn't at all. He obviously had a horrible final sector, and well, he goes to 12th, but I don't think he improved at all. I'm not sure. The timing a little bit confusing me there, as Callan stays in 13th position. So Calamies and Nilsson, the front row again for GT Amiga, Ben.
Yeah, another very brilliant performance, and there's a couple of people will be certainly happy with their performance in this quality session compared to the last one. Chris Butcher, notably. Adrian McNaughton, also a very good time too. AJ Wang, his personal best set also. Perhaps David Junt will be a little bit disappointed after his stellar lap in Quali 1 to be down in 9th. Sorry, 12th. Ryan Callan 13th. Again, not quite on the pace as he has been in the last 2 rounds. But again, it'll be interesting to see at the front if any of those guys behind the GT Amiga guys who have been so dominant can get ahead. Nato Nascimento showing good pace in qualifying. Let's hope he can improve his race pace and get up with the first 2. Jesper Tolberg also a strong showing, who hopefully can also get up there also to make it an interesting race. Hopefully you can get a clean start, Liam.
Yeah, absolutely, is what he's going to need, and we'll just see if he can actually do that. I mean, obviously, we've seen the kind of controversy that kind of surrounds this sort of starting procedure. Hopefully we won't see that this time, but a good start is so crucial, and I think that's exactly what he needs right now, just to get the head down and gain that all-important position to try and set him up the rest of a good race.
I'm just going to go through. I'm just going to go through the notes with the drivers. I'm just going to say, Ben, do you want to just talk that over with Liam, because I need to just address 1 or 2 issues with the start and make sure that everyone can have the best opportunity to making a clean getaway as possible.
Yeah, Toby, just giving some instructions to the drivers in the game chat window, try and to tighten things up on the warm-up lap and the formation lap to try and get the clean start that we're all certainly hoping for, and certainly the guys at the back of the grid who struggled on race 1 with contact before the lights out. hopefully they can get a clean start in this race as the drivers head out into warm-up. Probably put some race fuel in, as I said last time out, they'll probably put some race fuel in, see how the car's handling, maybe make some setup tweaks. But yeah, they'll obviously already done a race, so they're probably quite used to that now. But yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to this race. I mean, like I said, it was dominant showing again by Over Calamis in this championship, certainly taking a grip of this championship. But it'll be interesting to see if Tommy Nielsen, his teammate, can do a little bit more than finishing so far behind his teammate as he battled with Jesper. So yeah, Toby just giving the information to the drivers. So what are your predictions, Liam, for this race?
I wouldn't like to say at the moment, to be honest. As you can see, just a couple of warm-up times going through, but with Jesper starting way down the field compared to where he wants to start, he's going to need to find something special. With Nascimento, I think, was the main qualifier for me, getting himself right up there in the mix of things with Chris Butcher as well. So I think he's going to have his work out for him. It's not going to be all plain sailing if he wants to try and get back up to that second spot where he finished in race 1. Because, you know, the guys like Nascimento and Chris Butcher also want good results, and Nascimento's proven now that he's not to be undermined. He's definitely got the pace in that THR purple. But it's looking at the moment like still Ivar Calamis is the man who's leading the charge.
Yes, definitely. We haven't really seen a huge amount of push-to-pass overtaking going on. It's probably not the best track for it here. We saw Tommy Nielsen try it on Jesper Tolberg, and he actually sort of misjudged his braking point as he gained the extra speed from the 80 horsepower for 8 seconds. He obviously carrying a lot more speed going into down the back straight into that tight corner. He just outbraked himself and didn't get the move done, and very nearly lost the car. Very good car control by him to keep it going in a straight line. But I wonder if Push to Pass can do a bit more in this race.
I think a lot of drivers will try and take what they learned from race 1 in terms of the push to pass. We saw a couple of them, but the thing is, with the nature of the track in turn 1, the shape it is, that there isn't much sort of opportunity to use it without kind of hurting yourself in some ways, because yeah, you've got the extra momentum down the straight, but as soon as you hit the corner, you've got to brake so much harder, which harms the tyres and possibly causes you to run deep. So that's why it could be a lot of drivers choosing to opt out of it. But you know, you're going to learn about the pace of others around you now on this track. But it will be guys like Tolberg who tries to try and utilise it and maybe try and find the best place for it, which may not be the pit straight. It could be, you know, the straight, you know, just coming out of sector 1, because you could find that it may work a bit better through there, and hopefully he can try and gain and give us a race and a run for their money. If he can get him with the mix of Tommy Nielsen and co, it's going to be very interesting. He's got the pace now. You can see him. He's got a personal best through sector 1. And he's currently 3rd in warm-up as well. Chris Butcher 4th, Nascimento 5th, Henderson 6th. So it's again a very, very top 5. But I'll say, as a winner, you have to predict Calamis. But as a top 5, you could pretty much shake them all in a bag and pick out random ones. It's that close.
Yeah, absolutely. And with this push to pass, you were just saying how difficult it is to judge the braking point. It's really an unknown quantity for the drivers because they're only allowed to use it in race sessions. So if they're doing practice before the event, then they're not using push to pass, so they don't know when the braking point is. And obviously, when you're in the pressure and battling against someone else, it can be very difficult to gauge when to brake with the extra speed that you get from quite a lot more power from the push to pass.
Just bringing up the track map from Velopark just to show you what we're talking about. The 2 back straights, the front stretch, obviously the top of the 2 straight, so it is actually slightly longer than the back straight, but of course with the back straight you've got that curved corner leading onto it, so it's a difficult one to know exactly which one to use.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, literally down to personal preferences to where you use it as well, but I think the main guys to watch when it comes to the push to pass will obviously be Jesper, you know, starting down in 5th position. It's not where he wants to be as the timer hits 0. Hopefully you don't see a warm-up incident like we saw with David Yunt, but it's got to be a bit more variation, I think, this time in terms of push to pass, because you've learnt where it's successful and where it's not successful on the track. So it will give drivers an opportunity to perhaps try and experiment where it works best for them. And as Ben said, they haven't been able to practice with this before going into the server. So it's really going to affect them not knowing the braking points for the first time in race 1, and now they've got it sussed out, it could affect the amount of use it gets in race 2.
Just a quick reminder, we are racing at Velopark today, and of course coming up shortly we have the Oran Park broadcast for the V8 round. That's next weekend, that's the 18th of August, 8 days time, or 7 days if you're an hour ahead of us, which you may well be. We're all in England, which is GMT +1, so we'll endeavour to see whether there'll be a different victor, or whether Levesque and Jesper Talborg will resume their battle in that one. So just a couple of minutes before the start of the race, and predictions, guys. Are we going to see another Calamies win? It's hard to look past anyone else at the moment, you know.
I totally agree with you. Calamies has been that dominant factor all season. You know, he's won 4 out of 5 races. You can't knock him. He's just driven absolute perfection opening stint of the season. With Tolberg starting in 5th and Nilsson, of course, not being able to hold much to him in the first race, you've got to put your money on him. He's going to be the best man in terms of odds to win the race. But in terms of the top 5, it's really anyone's game, I think. You could go anyway all the way down to the likes of Ryan Callan and David years ago, who are just outside the top 10, of course, Callan in 13th, but JJ Yang up there in 8th position, Visa Müller in 6th. It's so close out there that any one of these guys who aren't really midfield contenders could establish themselves this race.
You certainly can. Give us a quick top 3 prediction as the field slow down.
Calamies, Calamies first, Nilsson second, and Tolberg third.
Okay, well I think I'm going to follow your quick suggestion there. I think Calamies and Nilsson will be a 1-2. I think it'll be up to a number of different THR drivers who are all sort of swamping in behind, with Henderson in there as well and McNaughton. It could be anyone really, as you say. Let's see if the field sort themselves out as they head onto the start-finish straight, and hopefully the green signal will be given slightly later to allow time for all of the cars to come onto the pit straight and make sure they're all sorted out. And you can see them streaming through. We wait for the green flag signal, and it's the front 2 of GT Amiga cars at the front of the field, with Chris Butcher and Nascimento in behind them. The field is all on the start-finish straight. It's green flag now, and away from the field they go. Nascimento, a great start in behind Nilsson, and he goes up the inside. He's going up the inside of Calamies as well. This is going to not work, and they all go in. Oh, and there's some contact further back once again. Nilsson leads away. Calamies leads away from Nilsson. Butcher in 3rd. Nascimento dropped back to 4th after that. Wiesemuller is in 5th. Henderson in 6th. Talborg 7th. McNaughton in 8th. And Tveit is still ahead of Callan. Callan's up to 10th position actually from the start. I think Senni was involved in that incident. I'm sure Ben will find out for us, but it's still Calamies leading away from Nilsson at the front of the field, Liam.
Yeah, very daring move indeed there from Nato Nascimento. I mean, that was daring indeed going into turn 1, trying to go at the inside of both of them. Carnage, yeah, they flow through, just trying to establish a rough order. So we'll go fine, so you can see Callan in the background up to 8th position, so rocketed start from him. Gaining, I think that's 6 positions on his hit list, so you can see McNaughton there trying to get into right slipstream. Is he going to use the push to pass? It could be a bit early, but you never know as they go in to complete the first opening lap. Into turn 2 they go, or turn 1 I beg your pardon. Nothing there at the moment, but again a very shaken up, and now look who Callan's behind. Probably the two of the bigger names in Touring Pro Series. Callan and Jesper Tolberg will do battle. Is this going to hinder Tolberg's progress? He's already dropped down to 7th. He's behind Henderson and Verdmüller. How's that going to affect him? He's got his teammate up in P5 in front of him. Yeah,
it's Talborg would not be too happy with where he's ended up, but 7th position isn't the end of the world. It's not like he's down in the lower echelons of the grid. Butcher will be very happy indeed to be in 3rd position, and he's tracking Nilsson. He's not exactly letting them run away from him, and if he's got any sense at all, he'll use his push to pass and use it to cruise up behind Tommy Nilsson and Calamies. And both of those two look like they haven't used their push to pass. 53.5 is a good lap time though from Calamies. Oh, and look at Nascimento in behind, and look at Wiesemuller on Henderson, and Talborg on Henderson, and Talborg goes through and takes 6th position. Callan actually is not that far behind at all, and he could still do something from there. He's just 5 seconds behind the leader, and he's got decent pace here as Butcher is being hounded by Nato Nascimento.
Absolutely, we said Nato definitely has established some pace now. He tries to catch Butcher, of course, the Red Bull 2012 Gridsters champion, and probably one of the most experienced sim racers here in Touring Pro Series is Nato. There's a bit of a lock-up, as look, they're not running away with it. As you said, the 2 GT Omegas out front, still only 1.6 seconds in front of Nato Nascimento, and that's not what they want. You want that big gap established as soon as possible. But right now, they're not getting their own way with it, especially with these push to passes left. If they could, you know, perhaps some sort of figure out to catch the back of Tommy Nilsson, Chris Butcher could well be on for a second place here.
He certainly could. I mean, he's not that far behind at all, but he's got to be careful he doesn't battle with NATO. I think NATO, Nascimento will be in the TeamSpeak channel. Oh, and look at Andy Johns coming out the pit lane as well. It's right in the middle of that battle, and he's going to hold up the THR green cars if he's not careful. And Ryan Callan is sniffing around in the background as well. You can see him just coming through the back of the field. He's number 68 in behind Henderson. There he is. And of course, we've got further back, this is Eric Tveit in 9th position with David Yunt in 10th. So he's not doing too badly, David Yunt. And further back, Thomas Fott and JJ Wang. And JJ Wang breaks a little bit earlier than Fott. Fott's going to go deep, is he? No, he makes the apex, that's okay. So look at that train of cars actually behind Thomas Fott. It's quite a sight to see that, as Tommy Nilsson sets the fastest lap of the race so far. And that's not really what Chris Butcher wants to hear. Butcher wants to be closing in the back of Nilsson, and at the moment, oh, and Butcher gets sideways on the apex, and he's got to be careful, Butcher, because any mistake he makes, and Nascimento will be there.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you what, a podium for NATO Nascimento could not go to a more deserving guy, and I think there will be a big, deal of respect given to him from the drivers at TPS, and he's definitely going to challenge for it now as he follows Chris Butcher, dives out of the slipstream, looks for the move. Will he get the braking point right? Yes, he does. Snoops across, thank you very much. Shine Seal delivered provisionally, providing Butcher does not come back at him, and he's going to try to, but Nathan, oh, bit of a cheeky push there by Chris Butcher, but it looks like Nascimento's got it down onto the straight. Will there be a push to pass here by the THR driver? We're about to find out as they come across the line to start lap 7. Let's see if Nascimento can hold on into turn 1. It doesn't look like he's used one, but I'll tell you what, Justin said he deserves it. That is exactly what we're talking about. NATO really has matured over these past couple of races, and Butcher goes into him, I think, there. And that may have been a bit of contact. He slipped back. I'm pretty sure I saw a bit of debris flying off. And now this is really going to help Wiesenmüller just behind him. Now Wiesenmüller coming all over the back of Chris Butcher, being accompanied by his teammate Jesper Tauborg. This is heating up nicely.
It certainly is. Nascimento moves up to 3rd then for THR Purple. Butcher in behind. And as Vinicius Ferreira comes in the pit lane, Ben's got some news.
Yeah, I just had another look at the replay for the start, and Sene was quite cautious on the brakes going into turn 1. I think that caught a couple of guys out behind him. I think it was Ryan Callan that fortunately just tagged the back of Sene, and that sent Sene into a spin. I think that also took out Andy Johns, who I think pitted with huge damage. Ernie Druske was also caught up in that. I think Mike Bell as well. But it's a bit of a shame, it's very difficult to judge when to brake for the first corner, as you've never done that start, the start from 40 miles an hour before. Obviously you did it in the first race, but it's very difficult to judge different brake temperatures. It wasn't a very long lap to warm up your brakes and tyres, so they're probably quite cold, and some people being more cautious than others, and contact is very difficult to avoid, and it was just unfortunate that Sene got tagged in the rear. Callan himself actually managed to get through alright, and he's made his way well up the field, so well done to him. But yeah, it's very unfortunate for Sene, who is now unfortunately quitted with probably damage to, I think it's damage to his suspension, so very unfortunate for him.
While you were talking, Ben, it all happened. I didn't want to cut across you for the second time, but Butcher jumped up into 3rd position. Tommy Nilsson sets the fastest lap. Wiesenmüller, in an excellent move, slipped through on the inside of NATO Nascimento and demoted him 2 positions down into 5th place. Jesper Tauborg is in behind Nascimento now. Damien Henderson and Callan, as a result, oh, Nascimento! Nascimento, what happened there? And he was sideways, and he's down to 8th.
Yes,
let's have a look, Liam.
3rd to 8th in just a short space of time. It's all gone wrong for Nascimento. I think we're going to see a bit of a replay of what happened here. And he just went sideways on the exit of turn 2, skipped across the curb, and luckily misses Wiesenmüller, but unfortunately goes sideways across the track. And that was a big scare, I think, for the other THR Green driver. But so unfortunate for Nascimento. It was looking so promising for him as well after such a good qualifying. He now sits down in 8th position behind Callan, who's caught up to Henderson, who's caught Tolberg, who's caught Wiesenmüller. So that train now is slowly forming up, and Ryan Callan's got a big opportunity while this train is forming up. It's drawn all the cars in front of him closer together, so I think Callan may be planning an escape through all this and to perhaps get a top 5 here.
And he looks in a great position to get a top 5. In 7th position is nothing to be sniffed at, to be honest with you. And he is all over the back of Damien Henderson, and it's just a matter of time, it looks like to me. And the THR Green car's ahead of Henderson, looking strong as well. Obviously Callan driving for TPS Racing, and you can see the Touring Pro Series logo on the side of his machine, and he's in behind Henderson. I think he's used a push to pass. He goes up the inside, and he's definitely got that move made if he doesn't run deep, which he doesn't. An excellent manoeuvre from Callan, perfectly driven, and he takes the position away, and it's as easy as I could say it really there, Liam. It was just that simple.
Yeah, absolutely, just textbook stuff there, and just like that, Callan through. Next up on his hit list is Jesper Tolberg. We saw these two last race have a very heated battle indeed, which did involve Callan unfortunately losing out on it. We'll definitely try and change that today and rectify it, as he searches redemption against the THR Green driver of Jesper Tolberg.
And of course these two, no love lost at all, and Callan of course was tapped by Tolberg in race 1. Tolberg took the position, and it was deemed to be an incident that could have been avoided, so Tolberg was penalised 4 points as a result. So there is a bit of history between these two in this very league, let alone in the past. Oh, Butcher's round! Butcher's round! I have no idea what's happened to him. Butcher, Chris Butcher, what are you doing, my friend? Let's have a look what he was doing.
Just coming down into... Let's see what he can do here, then. He's going into a bit quickly on the exit. This is through the chicane. Luckily, not to hit.
Sorry guys, we've got Jesper Tolberg going past Wiesmuller on the start-finish line. Uses push the pass, went around the outside. Great move by Jesper Tolberg. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. Let's have a look at that.
Okay,
so coming out the final corner then.
Callan just had a major slide as well. It's all going off. You saw Butcher in the background having his moment. So it's all going off in the space of a lap. There you can see Tolberg going round the outside, getting the job done. I'm not sure Wiesmuller was going to fight that hard, to be honest with you.
I don't know about that. There's a bit of feisty action going on there between two teammates, but there we go. That's for 3rd and 4th. Callan, as you say, huge slide, and he's up to 5th after passing Henderson, getting through after Nato's mistake, and of course Butcher is now down to 16th. What's happened to Chris Butcher? What's happened here?
It must have been the actual incident which was funny. Maybe he's pitted in, or he's...
Oh no!
Miller going back past Tolberg. Sorry, he'd just done exactly the same move as Tolberg, down the straight, this time on the inside. So a battle going on between teammates, and this isn't helping them catch Nielsen at all.
I'm just showing you the Chris Butcher incident. He just didn't know what to do once he'd spun the car, and he's lost so much ground as a result. We'll just head back to the leaders, because Wiesmuller and Tolberg, it's a shame we've missed that one. I don't think we're going to catch it on replay now, but Butcher is going from bad to worse for him, and I don't think he'll be a happy bunny after the race. So Wiesmuller and Tolberg swapping around again. So what happened this time, Ben? You were watching it.
Yeah, well, Wiesmuller just got in Tolberg's toe and just used his push to pass like Tolberg did the lap before, and just went up the inside this time and got the job done quite early on. But this is really strange for them to be battling like this when they need to try and chase down GT Amiga, although they are 8 seconds ahead now. So difficult to catch, but they could do it. They could chase them down really rather than fighting between themselves, which could cause contact, especially with the guys right behind them, you know, only a couple of seconds behind.
It certainly is. I think, Ben, there's a couple of people down in the pit lane who might need interviewing, so best run off down there rather than watching the broadcast. But right now we're on board with Jesper Tolberg, and he's in behind Robert Wiesmuller. Actually, I think Ben's found Alexander Seni down in the pit lane.
Have I?
Yes, you have. Ben, speak.
Okay, I haven't, but I explained the Seni incident earlier. He quit because he had suspension damage from the start incident with Ryan Callan. I think it was just braking at a slightly different point.
Yeah, obviously.
Sorry, yes, we've got Alexander Seni in the channel now. So, Seni, what happened at the start? Was it exactly as I described?
Hi guys, hi everyone. Well, I can't find a good race, a good lap on my qualifying, so I go into the race in the middle of the grid. But there is a wow! I got someone hit me behind in the first corner, and I destroyed it. Completely destroyed my car because everybody hit me. My car. Well, I tried to back to the race and gain some position, but my car was really difficult, and after 3 or 2 laps I decided to get out because it was impossible.
Alright, well, thank you for that, Sene. Thank you for that, Alexandra. I'm sure you'll have a better round at the next round. News for you guys. Calamies has spun out of the race lead after contact with Johns, and he's right in the battle with Talbot and V-Similar. It happened whilst we were talking to Alexandre. I just caught it on replay there. Thank you for talking to us, Alex. I'm sorry we've had to cut away from you. Better luck in the future. But look at this battle going on, Liam.
Thank you.
I think we've just lost Liam. Ben, I mean, did you see any of what happened then? I mean, Calamies just dropped down the field like a stone. Obviously, contact with Andy Johns didn't help him too much in that situation.
I didn't, I'm afraid. My game froze, but yeah, certainly a disaster for Calamies. Oh, Calamies trying to go past. I think that's Jonathan Ockercliffe trying to get past the back marker, and he just ran into the back of him. That was slightly careless. I think Ockercliffe was trying to ease off to let him past, and obviously Calamies trying to steal a toe, and you know, which is fair enough. You're trying to get every single performance advantage you can, but Ockercliffe easing off when Calamies is right behind him. That certainly won't help him.
I tell you what, this is the first time for the whole duration of the season that we've seen Calamies rattled. That's two incidents. I wouldn't say mistakes, but certainly he could have avoided that. And he's right in the clutches of Talbot. Nielsen's nowhere to be seen. Look at Talbot! He's right in behind Calamies. He's actually overdone it here, and he's going to be dropping off the back of Calamies. Actually, that's the worst thing Talbot could have done, because look, Visima is going to battle him now. Oh, they go side by side. Talbot hangs it round the outside, and Liam, look at this battling going on.
Absolutely incredible. We said here that Nielsen needs a victory if he wants to keep that title, trying to hope alive. He's now got a prime chance, because whilst now they go 1-1 from both races, one victory apiece, so there would be no extra points gained. But the thing is, if Tolberg can somehow get past Calamies and Wiesenmüller can follow, this would open the championship up so much, because not only would Calamies not get points, Talbot would gain points on Calamies, and it will really establish himself as a contender.
Sorry to chat away, but look at this. Something's happened between Johnson and Tamas Fott, and Fott has retired. James Johnson is coming into the pit lane, so he's obviously got a puncture. So that's Tamas Fott's out of the running as well, and he's not going to be happy with that at all. James Johnson is going to be severely, well, he's going to lose a lot of time here, and he comes into the pit lane as a result. Let's head back to the front of the field. I'm sure Calamies would, from this position, he'd settle for second position, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, he will lose points to Tommy Nilsson, but there will be no gap change in the lead, because, of course, Calamies won one last time, as did Nilsson, so if that repeated itself, there will be no gap change in the points except, you know, the actual points he's gained during the race. So, providing he doesn't let Calamies or Wiesenmüller pass, he won't lose any points to, you know, the guy in front of him, who is his teammate Tommy Nilsson. And with, you know, Ryan Callan down the field at the moment, you've got Chris Butcher, who's down the field as well. I mean, Callan's still in 6th, but this is a prime opportunity for Talbot to really get in there. Now, if he would have beaten Callan and Butcher in both previous races, he sits 12th in the standings going into this event. He's going to be a lot higher after this one.
It certainly is. We're going to wait and see what happens to Callan. We've got Ray Lilly's got huge damage in that number 15 THR blue card. Navarro's a couple of laps down. We've got lots of retirements. Andy Johns, Philip Antonia, both with suspension damage. Tamas Fott as well, as we saw in an incident. James Johnson's retired now, and Nato Nascimento's out! Nascimento, what happened to him? Let's have a look.
Oh,
he comes through. Oh, he's going to hit the tyres. Yeah. Oh, huge! Huge damage. Oh, Nato Nascimento. And he is out. And he is very out, isn't he, Liam?
I think that's just been the story of this season for Nato, unfortunately. And I mean, that's exactly what those barriers are designed to do, though. Just catch drivers out who maybe don't go in with 110% concentration. That's a prime example of it there, unfortunately, for Nato. We'll see what his teammate can do. However, his teammate, again, hasn't had the best of weekends so far. Alexandra Sene, who disconnected earlier, it was we heard from earlier in the broadcast. So, THR Purple just been very unlucky this weekend, I think. They've shown promising pace, but it just wasn't to be.
No, it wasn't, and you'd have to say that was really Nato's own fault. He went way too deep into the corner, and just crunched into the tyre barriers. We've got Ben down in the pit lane.
Yeah, I was just going to say, while you were talking about Calamy's spin, an opportunity for Jesper Tolberg without a doubt, but I think they're battling with him and his teammate Robert Wiesemüller early on in the race, just cost him that time that he could have got past Calamy's when he spun. So a bit of a shame for Tolberg. I wonder if he can catch him later in the race as we see Eric Tavai doing a traditional ride over the anti-cuts. Great battle going on there. It's good to see a battle further down the field as well as just at the front.
It certainly is. This is Fight Wang and Kabis having a ding-dong battle, and just then it was Kabis drafting Eric Fight down the start-finish straight, and JJ Wang getting in on the action, and it's going to be very tight here as they come towards the final few corners of the lap. There's not very many turns in this track. This is the left, right, left, where we saw Nascimento cream the barriers, and Wang is looking for a way past Fight. In fact, it looks like he just really messed up those couple of corners, because Glenn Kabis now is in a good position to take the position back from JJ Wang that he's just lost. And in behind them, Dino Paolini is not that far away, and Chris Butcher is a little bit further back actually, so he's got some work to do. But yeah, it's good to see these battles further back. Look at this, Kabis right in behind Wang. I think this fight actually was further ahead, but perhaps has made a mistake or two. Further forward, Sentel and McNaughton were having a battle. Sentel moving up into 8th position. David Jones is in 7th. Ryan Cullen, a race of his own, in 6th. Henderson is still in 5th place ahead of Ryan Cullen, so doing a good job in that blue and black machine. Wiesemüller and Talborg are a little bit further apart than they were before. Talborg up in 3rd, and he is 2.2 seconds. He's less than that, isn't he? Calamese has made another mistake. Let's have a quick look, see if we can catch that on the replay. I think it was probably through turn 3 here, perhaps through turn 4. Did he hit the wall? No, it looks like he's actually lost it all in the first corner. So Calamese is going to have to be careful if he doesn't want to have Talborg on the back of him by the end of the race.
Yeah, he's definitely just pushed a bit too hard at the moment. The pressure obviously coming from Jesper Talborg just behind him. The gap has extended in the favour of Tommy Nilsson to 6 seconds now, so definitely looking like a Tommy Nilsson victory here. We still have 14 laps remaining, but Tommy Nilsson just eking out that gap all the time while Calamese is making a mistake. Talborg must be loving this. The gap between them now is 1.7, so he's definitely gaining on him. It still remains to be seen if he can catch him, because around this track, catching is one thing, passing is another.
Quite another. It's quite difficult to make a move on this track. There's not many places, unless you're using push to pass, where you can do it. But Cullen really isn't making the ground that I thought he would in the later stages of this race. I thought he'd sneak up behind Henderson and perhaps have a go for a top 5, but he's done well to get into 6th place, and he stuck it out. And to be fair to him, he obviously had a very difficult race in the first race, much better in race 2.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what he can do during race 2, though. But I'll tell you what, David Yent is definitely kind of come of age this race as well. Had a lot to make up for last race, of course, after the spin on the warm-up lap. But the pace has been pretty even. He came 8th overall last time, 7th now. If he can catch Callan, it's a bit of an ask. But if he could catch Callan, a 6th place would be so well deserved for him. And he's really just established himself as a very big midfield contender here. One to shake up the order a bit if needed. But what about the performance of this man, Robert Wiesenmüller? I mean, I tell you what, in P4 he's had a stormer of a weekend in THR Green. We saw him in the midfield, of course, in the other 2 races, but he's having a great run today.
He certainly is, and it's been quite a good result actually for THR Green in general. Him and Talborg have both put in some good results, and they probably are going to overtake THR Red in the team standings, despite Jesper missing that first round at Jacarapagua. And we've got Ben in the pit lane. News about James Johnson.
Yeah, I just spoke to James, and he actually spun on the exit of turn 1. I think I don't know where he was positioned on the track, but I think it was Tamas Fott that came around the corner and just smacked into him, causing huge damage for both of them. James Johnson had to retire from that, and I think he was, although it was his mistake to spin, I think he was a little bit annoyed with Tamas Fott for not trying to make a bit more effort to avoid him, as we see JJ Wang and Glenn Kabis having a ding-dong battle, as you said. Eric Tveit using his push to pass down that straight. These 3 have been close for very, lots of laps now. Oh, a bit late on the brakes there, but yeah, very good ding-dong battle going on. Slipstream and push to pass showing a bit more of a hand in this race.
They certainly are. JJ Wang's going on the inside now of Fight, and Kabis is, as you say, all over the back looking to pick up the pieces, going on the inside. It's so tight through turn 1. There really is no more than a car's width through there as they run over that piece of debris that no longer has any physical properties. That's the way sometimes the games work, so don't worry too much about that. But Fight is holding off these two. He's been doing so for quite a few laps, as you say, but they have been having a battle. Oh, and David Yunt and Ryan Cullen. David Yunt, what's happened here? I think the timing is messed up a tiny bit. Unless Cullen lost a lot of time, I think he has. You know, I think Ryan Cullen has just lost a ton of time. Look at this, Liam. Look at this.
I think Cullen's. I'm not sure what's happened there. So Yunt's got past. Cullen's gone to overtake, gone deep. Spun the car, narrowly missing the barrier, but that's awful. I'm not sure. That's just disastrous for Ryan Cullen. David Yunt, we said he deserved 6th place, has now just seemingly got in there with a thank you very much.
I think Ryan made 2 mistakes in that lap because certainly Yunt was a few seconds behind. I have to say I don't think it was awful from Cullen. I think he just simply made a small error and had to turn the car around, but got some work to do. Oh, and he's lost it again, hasn't he? Oh, he's just kept it out of the barrier. Tough to say from that camera angle. Just on the wrong cycle, God damn you. But Cullen is in the wars. He's got to keep his head now, really, because Sentel is a fair distance behind. He's coming through the final corner now, so he won't have any problems from Sentel. So he's just got to keep his head and finish the race. He's locked up his tyres as well through there. Just keep your head, Ryan, and you will do well. Stick with me, son. Calamise is gapping Talborg and Wiesemüller very nicely indeed, so that 2nd place looks fairly secure, and you'd have to say he looks nailed on for that position, doesn't he, Liam?
Yeah, he's just done a perfect job at the moment. I think Tommy Nilsson out front. Calamise has pulled away from Talberg, that gap's just increased, and Talberg unfortunately just hasn't had the pace to keep up with Calamise. Calamise, of course, been the fastest man all weekend, essentially, in qualifying and race pace, but Tommy Nilsson, I don't think, while there's still a few laps to go and that gap is going back and forth, Nilsson may just have this time sealed and delivered. But I think there's still a lot of uncertainty among the top 8 overall, you know, with Cullen, see if we can catch David Yunt back now. And of course, Wiesenmüller and Talberg, I think, still within touching distance of each other. But it's just a fine example of this track and what it can do. Even the greatest of drivers have fallen victim to it.
Indeed they have. Calamise being one of them, he obviously made a mistake in contact perhaps with Andy Johns. We didn't quite catch that whole incident because of a bit of lag, but Wiesenmüller and Talbot still battling over 3rd. There is only 2 seconds between them, so it could still change that one. Damien Henderson, I think, is fairly settled behind them in 5th position. Sentel and Ryan Cullen, there's enough gap between those two for that not to be a problem. Oh, McNaughton coming over the curbs. Actually, I think we were on replay just then. So well, let's get back to live action. Apologies for that. And Fight down in 10th position. He's still holding off JJ Wang and Glenn Kabis, and Glenn Kabis is still in behind JJ Wang and looking for a way through. Ben, I mean, pick a winner out of these two, Kabis or JJ Wang.
Well, it's impossible. I mean, we've got Eric slightly further up the road, but all of them have been battling. We've got Dino Paolini also joining in this action. He's caught up over the last couple of laps, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Who's got the push to pass his left? Also with the front runners coming past, and that might also play a part, because they've got to slow down and let through the leaders, which of course they'll be reluctant to do, but they have to do it, otherwise they'll probably face a penalty. So that might shake things up a bit, but it's impossible to pick a winner out of these three. But certainly the tightest battle at the moment on track.
It certainly is. It's by far and away the most exciting as well. There's just 2 cars in it now, but as you say, with Calamise coming through now and 1 or 2 others, it's going to be tricky. Kabis didn't lose any time at all there. He's going to well, he might have lost a couple of tenths, but he did a really good job there of getting out of the way of Calamise and still retaining. Oh, and look, just in front, Schweitz is slowed right in front of JJ. I wonder if Schweitz is just driving just to have a bit of fun here, to be honest with you. As Navarro or Lilly, I couldn't quite see which of the two THR blue drivers there were, got out of the way nicely there. And Wang, no way through unless he has a push to pass enabled. He's letting through the leaders. So that's good driving actually from JJ for getting out the way there, and he retains that position, and Spite will do the same, and this is JJ's opportunity because Spite's gone wide. JJ's gone even wider, and that's a bit naughty there from JJ Wang, and he's got to be careful actually that he hasn't done that too many times this race. There's only 6 laps left. I've just noticed that we've just been yabbering on and watching the battles, and there's not that much time left, so we'll just quickly run down the retirees. Nascimento, the most recent of which. Ray Lilly and Navarro have carried on, as has Ockerclint, as has Butcher, but we've only got 17 runners right now. It doesn't sound like that few, but it's a lot less than we started with. We had nearly 30 drivers start this race. Nascimento, Johnson, Fott, Draska, Bell, Johns, Antonia, and we've got Ferreira as well, and of course Alexandra Sene, and Philip Antonio would be disappointed with that one as well. I don't think he's finished a single race this season. He might have finished one, but a shame for him on his comeback to the TPS. So Liam, we've had a couple of good races today. It's not all over yet, but looks like your prediction was going to come true. Nielsen, Calamise and Talborg.
Yeah, well, I'm a psychic, but no, it's been a really good race. Unfortunately, it has been at the expense of, Nascimento. Calamise should have perhaps been at the front, but he's closing, to be honest. So that gap has come down dramatically over the past 5 laps or so. So I don't think this is over yet between Calamise and Nielsen. We've still got, as you say, about 5 laps remaining. So I still think there's time left. You can easily make 2 seconds in 5 laps if you push hard enough. But I don't know. I wouldn't write Calamise off just yet. I mean, just look at what happened last time out, and it was side by side across the start line with Nielsen and Calamise just clenching it. But overall, I think it's been another good race weekend, and this has been probably the turning point in the championship. Talborg established himself as a title contender. He's finished in front of the majority of the top 5 in the championship standings in both races provisionally, and you've got the rest of the field just having action, and some of them falling victim to the track as well. So very, very interesting race to say the least. But I think the championship's really been turned on its head now. Pretty much anyone can, get themselves to top 5 now.
They certainly can. Look at this battle that's going on. I've just sort of missed out on this one. McNaughton and Centel. And McNaughton, I believe he was behind Centel, wasn't he?
I think he was, yes. Yeah. They may have made a slight mistake now down in 9th. Adrian, so needs to try and get past. But Matt Centel, another unsung hero today, he's done a fantastic job to get himself up in P8 at the moment.
Yeah, he's doing a great job actually. Oh, McNaughton's going to slip through on the inside and take that position. And McNaughton, coming through the pack, is going to sneak through and take 8th. And it's a good drive from McNaughton actually as well. He had a difficult first race, but a better second race. And JJ, I wish he wouldn't run out of those white lines for his own sake. He's on his final warning in this league. And obviously when we go back through and check for the cutting, then he'll be in trouble if he's done that too many times. But he lets through one of the THR green cars. That's the Jesper Talbot coming through, and Tveit and Wang is a fairly big gap. You've got Kabis and Paolini. It's all fairly settled really. Butcher's in the pit lane. I wonder if he's putting new tyres on just to see if he can set fastest lap here.
Well, it definitely could be a possibility. You never know. Of course, I'm not sure. Do you get an extra point for the fastest lap?
No, you don't. But it's just one of those things that Butcher likes to do to keep himself focused. He obviously knows he's got at least a lap to Ray Lilly, and that the worst that can happen really is he's going to drop off the back of Paolini, who he wasn't that far behind anyway. And perhaps Ben will find out exactly what he's doing, see if he can travel down to the THR pit. But at the moment we've got Ben in the pit lane.
Yeah, I've just been watching the battle very closely with Eric Tveit and JJ Wang, and as you were saying, Toby, JJ's certainly pushing the limits of the track. A little bit concerned that he's done it quite frequently, but I'm certainly not going to speculate now. But obviously trying to trace hard down Eric Tveit, who has been making mistakes, and is certainly known for his flamboyant driving style, let's say. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the championship, this is quite extraordinary, as you said. Can turn it on its head, really. I mean, can Calamise really keep dominating? I mean, he's just spun and made a mistake, so he's obviously not invincible, and certainly keeps the interest up for the rest of the season.
It certainly does. I mean, he's certainly not invincible, but he's certainly good enough to still be dominating this championship. I'm just watching Ivan Navarro, who is the final runner in the field at the moment, but he's just doing a great job of going round and picking up some points, and you've got to complete 75% of the race distance to get some points at all, and he's going to pick up a few points here, and that'll do him the world of good actually. Ivan, one of the hardest workers, along with Ray Lilly, both THR Blue drivers, in the TPS, and they're doing a good job. It might not look it on the timesheets and the championship standings, but they're running around and they're completing the race distance and picking up some points, as is Chris Butcher, and I'll be interested to see whether he can pick up the fastest lap.
Well, it would definitely be one to watch to see if he did have the pace overall. Of course, with the rest of the field on much worse off tyres than he is, as he can go onto the final lap then. But I'll tell you what, Tommy Nilsson, this race couldn't have gone better for him on a personal level, because he's got the lead he wanted, and he hasn't really been challenged for it. He hasn't had to fight down to the wire. He's going to come across the line, hopefully providing there's no last lap turmoil. But he's deserved it this weekend. Again, he stuck it to Calamese in race 1, and he's got a victory in race 2. But GT Omega go unbeaten in the opening 6 races of this championship.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out for the rest of the season. Just looking at Jonathan Ockerclint. Oh, and we've finished the race. Well done, me. One of those people who misses the end of the races. I'm sorry about that. So, Tommy Nilsson, as we expected, taking the win from Ivar Calamese. Jesper Talborg in 3rd position, with Robert Biesenmuller coming through in 4th position. And in 5th is going to be Henderson. In 6th is going to be David Yunt. And that's a great result for Yunt, isn't it?
Absolutely. He pushed so hard as well. And I think he deserved it, because obviously that kind of dodgy warm-up spin in race 1, it's kind of magnified itself. He's got a solid race 1 and 2, going 8th and 7th, and it's a good load of points for the team as well. I think he's definitely deserved that, David, and kept his head in the right place and not let that mistake get to him.
Another good result for Ryan Callan, especially after his race 1 result, and of course what happened to him. Oh, and look at these two coming across the line as well. McNaughton is just going to hold off Centel. Oh, is he? Yes, just look at that. That must have been really tight. I thought my heart couldn't take yet another close finish. McNaughton for Storm Racing just holding on to it ahead of Centel. And Tveit coming through in 10th place. He's the first of the lapped cards, along with JJ Wang. And that looks Damien Henderson doing a 360 spin in the pit lane. Glenn Cabis, Dino Paolini, Ray Lilly, Jonathan Alcaclinth, Chris Butcher, who we didn't see set the fastest lap, and Ivan Navarro, the final finisher. And 17 finishes from nearly 30 starters is not great, but another one of those situations where it's a tight track, tight confines, and the barriers, they just reach out and bite you, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. I think the anti-cut's also catching a couple of people out, as we saw, and the tight track certainly not helping the start. Just to say that Adrian McNaughton and Matt Centel coming over the line, I think Centel used his push to pass, as Jesper did in the last race, and of course Calamese before that. He was just 100th behind McNaughton over the line, so really close racing up until the end. And yeah, Eric Tveit managed to hold off JJ Wang in the end, and Cabis finishing just behind those two.
So the top 3 then, Nilsson, Calamese and Talborg, and let's hope at least 1 or 2 of those will join us for an interview. Obviously Biesenmuller, Henderson, Yunt, Callan, McNaughton, Centel and Tveit was the top 10, and we'll just quickly head to the pre-season video before the interviews, and let's hope to get a word from everyone, particularly regarding the start line shunt of the first race. 1 or 2 drivers not particularly happy about the fact that the green signal was given and then a go-around signal given, and well, it's certainly a point of discussion, but obviously the incident was deemed large enough to restart the race with that second qualifying lap. So let's just head to the video, and then we'll be here for the interviews. So, we conclude 2 races today at Velopark, and 2 very exciting races it has been indeed. And we've had Calamese once again taking a win, and Tommy Nielsen the second race victor. I just want to talk to Robert Wiesenmuller first, because obviously he had a couple of great battles and some good results for THR Green. So, Robert, you must be pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, it went really well. I didn't expect it, to be honest. I couldn't practice so much as for the previous round, so I was really surprised. And I think in the second race I took my best ever result in TouringProSeries. I'm really happy with the final positions. Also for the team, of course, because I think now it's clear that THR Green is the strongest team of the THR teams in the series.
Okay, yeah, as you said, very strong showing for THR Green. THR Purple had certainly had some pace, but just got caught up in a couple of incidents. But yeah, Rob, I was just going to ask you about your little battle with Jesper in race 2. Very exciting to watch. I mean, it's something. Is battling with your teammates something you want to be doing? Are you happy to race against him? Because it's possible you lost a bit of time to the leaders by doing that. But I suppose, were you happy with third place?
Well, I was really happy that I could keep up with Jesper, so I only had the chance to battle with him, and I didn't really worry about the leaders, because when you've seen the previous rounds, it was clear that GT Omega, they have some really great pace, and I couldn't keep up with them. And I just tried to stay in front of Jesper as long as possible. Unfortunately, he got past me then, and he was just a little bit faster, and I'm really happy with my 4th place.
So you should be, Robert, so congratulations. You were obviously great battling with Jesper Talbog, and it was a joy to watch. So we move on to race 2 victor. Second win of the season for Tommy Nielsen. A great performance there. You picked up the pieces after Ivar Calamese had that off, and came through to take the victory. You must be happy with that.
Yeah, I'm happy about that, but I don't really think that I was the fastest one today, but I got a little bit lucky, so I got the win today.
I don't think you can really call some very consistent lap times and very consistent performances luck. As it goes, I believe that was probably better than even your earlier win, because you just kept at it and picked up the pieces.
Yeah, I know that in the draft I can easily stay behind him, because when you use push to pass, you can, if you're long behind, you just use that and you get up in the draft again. So you can be like 3/10 after, what do you say, 3/10 slower per lap and still manage to keep up. So I was quite happy I could keep up with him this race.
Well, you had a very good result today once again, and the second win of the season, the 6th in a row for GT Omega, and I think the Teams Championship is looking kind of rosy for you, Tommy. So you must be pleased with how it's going for Team GT Omega.
Yeah, I mean I think we have 6 poles, 6 wins, and things couldn't go better. So I'm very happy about. We work very hard with our setups, and I gotta thank Damian Henderson for giving me opportunity to test all of his setups. So that's been a really strong key for me to be so fast in this game.
Yeah, it's good to have a good solid base to build on. So obviously using it to the best effect there in GT Omega. So well done, Tommy, and congratulations on your second win of the season.
Thanks.
So I think Ben has got hold of Chris Butcher.
Yeah, Chris. I mean, just explain what happened. I mean, we saw you have a bit of an incident in race 1, and then in race 2 you're going right, and then spun. What sort of happened?
Well, in race 1, I'm not really sure the reason behind it, but obviously a go around on the formation lap was called, and as soon as that was called, I slowed back down to formation speed, but nobody else did. They carried on racing, and I lost quite a few positions through that. And then on the restart, I got quite a good start, to be honest, and I was braking for turn 2, and somebody just hit me from behind and spun, and that was pretty much race over from there with a damaged car and overheated tyres. Tried to come back through the field, but people were just, there was people braking 50 metres before the normal braking point for turns, and I kept getting caught out by that, and back markers as well, not yielding for blue flags, so race 1 was a bit of a disaster, to be honest. Race 2, yeah, I was going pretty well, my race pace was strong, and I just dropped a wheel and ended up spinning it, and then again overheated tyres and a bit of butchy rage, and I was pushing too hard and heating the tyres up too much, and that just resulted in spin after spin in the end, really. So I decided to go around burning up some fuel, pitted for some fresh tyres towards the end of the race, and went for a flying lap at the end and pushed past down the straight, and I managed to take the fastest lap, so I guess there's a silver lining in there.
Indeed, that's exactly what Toby said you might be doing, is try and get the fastest lap. So yeah, I mean, very unfortunate for you. You certainly had good pace, and you were certainly up there in race 2. But hopefully you can improve as the season goes on and keep that pace up and get some good results. Unlucky today.
Also in the booth, I also believe we've got James Johnson. So James, you had quite a varied race weekend. How was your race for you?
Race 1, I had a good start for the first part, and then we had to do the second formation, and then after that I kind of just spun out. I spun out twice, and then I just had to work my way through the field. And then in race 2, I was doing alright after the start, after the turn 1, and then I just spun on the exit. And then after that I was working my way through the field again, and then I got up to around 9th. And then going through turn 1, I hit the curb, and then I spun. And then I don't know, but Tamas just went straight into me, and I couldn't really do anything because I was stuck sideways across the road. So I don't know whether he could avoid me or not. And there was just loads of spinning cars.
So a bit of an unfortunate weekend for you there, but are there any positives to take going into the next round?
Better speed, more speed. My setup, the setup I had was much better for this time. I was able to keep up and push a bit more than I did at Curitiba.
Awesome. So where do you see yourself in the terms of the championship then? So obviously we're kind of hitting a turning point now in the championship. Do you see yourself sort of maybe a top 10 competitor, or?
Yeah, I did. I finished. I polled. Well, I didn't poll, but I qualified 10th both times. I could probably, if I can get some good races in, I think I can get back into the top 10 or stay in there.
Awesome. Well, thanks. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time.
Oh, I think we've lost Liam, but anyway, we'll move on quickly to David Yunt, and then we'll round out with Jonathan Ockerclinth. So, David, we saw you qualify. Such a great result in qualification for the first race.
Yeah, but I'm a bit concerned about it. I mean, I was concentrating very much for this lap, and in the end, I'm not quite. I just saw the time and thought, oh wow, might be a bit too much, but well, we'll have to see. And after that, race 1, well, I think it was like balancing out my great lap, because I spun a bit and had to let someone through, but it was possibly the same track position. So we've had to restart after that. I've dropped to about P10, and well, I had to catch up again to get something like P8. And when I was close to fighting for P6, I spun, and well, I couldn't overtake Sene when he spun too, so I had to set it for 8. But race 2 was opposite of the first. I found the fuel for 1 lap in qualifying, and ran out of gas on the home straight, and had to settle for 12 instead of something like 7. But it somehow came back in the race when I've made it through, overtook cars, he pushed to pass ice on the straight, and in the end, then when I'm caught up to Ryan for just taking the position, then he was going to outbreak me. Well, he went off, and I've had 6th place easy, so I didn't have to push anymore. But well, 8 and 6 are great positions. The only thing I was a bit concerned was when I was lapping Andy John, so about 2 or 3 times it was a bit like if we had a touch or something. overall for rotation racing. And he's a great result. The only thing I'm a bit sad is that Nick Newcomb didn't show up, and I don't know what happened to him. So
yeah, I don't know why he didn't show up. Actually, Nick Newcomb, he didn't sign out or anything, but it's a shame he missed his teammate coming 8th and 6th, and it's a great result. So well done, David. I'll just quickly go to Jonathan Ockerclint. Just one question, Jonathan, and I want to know how tricky was it being lapped by the leaders out there today? It looked very tight once or twice, and obviously you were in a position to be in that position. So how did it feel?
It was quite tight at a few times, and I lost my head a few times, and perhaps some of the lappings was a bit too offensive, but it was hard, but it was manageable.
Yeah, it was an interesting situation going on. So thank you for that, guys. Thank you for the interviews, and it's always good to have your thoughts. And yeah, it's nice to speak to you all. It's a shame we didn't quite have the clean racing that I was looking for this time round, but obviously none of your individual faults. I think it's more of a collective whole. So we'll see what happens at the next round. So thank you, guys. I don't think anyone's going to say thank you back, so never mind.
Thank you.
Okay, so Ben, quick rundown. A couple of exciting races, and the results are now up. If you go to results.touringproseries.com, they have already been processed, and they are currently like this. So we've got Ivar Kalamies at the top, still heading Nielsen, but Henderson moves up to 3rd, Ben.
Yeah, it's certainly sort of shaking things up a little bit. This race is very exciting racing, of course, and Kalamies and Nielsen for GT Amiga still very dominant. They're massive lead in the teams championship, 331 points to THR Green's 195. But again, a very strong showing still from THR Green. They were again best of the rest. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens to the rest of the season. But Kalamies certainly looks very dominant. A very slight mistake in race 2 could have cost him more than just dropping 1 place. He's perhaps slightly fortunate to get away with it to some extent, but both of them still very dominant. Well done to Jesper Tolberg, again a strong showing, and also Robert Fleesman as well. He's moved up to 4th position in the championship. That's a great effort for him. I think Ryan Callan will be a bit disappointed with his weekend, if you like, and drop down to 6th in the championship. Also, Chris Butcher will be very disappointed. But yeah, an interesting 2 races, and very nicely poised for the rest of the season.
So there's Callan and Butcher, the 2 big movers downwards in the championship. Although Callan really salvaged a good result in the 2nd race and bounced back from race 1, but he will be disappointed. He's a lot better than those results are showing him. And I think 3rd place in the championship would have been his, of course. But it's one of those things, and Ryan will always tell me, shoulda, woulda, coulda, the results are as they are. And Ryan is in 6th, Chris Butcher in 8th, and David Yunt moved up into 7th, Liam, and he'll be pleased with that. The Swiss driver, the only Swiss driver in TPS, I believe, at the moment, in 7th, flying the flag.
Absolutely. I mean, he had a good weekend, very solid finish, and despite, the kind of warm-up incident, he redeemed himself very nicely and established himself as a really kind of major threat to this midfield now. He's got himself up there 2 races in a row, and he's really shown a sense of speed now.
So just one other thing I want to go through. We've been through the championship standings as they are at the moment. We've also got a wheel to give away, a €120 wheel, in fact, and the SRW S1 wheel, part of the Steel Series wheels, as Ryan's post has received excellent reviews with 2 S's, so I'll fix that soon in a minute. Both as a revolutionary standalone wireless wheel as an add-on to your existing wheel. They can be added to G25s or G27s. Great prize, and as you can see, there are 4 of the 6 companies quoted that have reviewed the SRW S1 wheel is the question. And you have to answer that question by sending an email to ryan@touringproseries.com, and Ryan obviously is going to process all of those results, all of those answers, by the 19th of August, and the winner will be picked via a random draw on the 20th. Remember, it's €120 worth of wheel. It's a great wheel to have, and it's a great mod if you've got a G25 or a G27. Its button box alone will be more than that, and this provides not only a new wheel but a button box built in. Great for any of you enthusiasts out there who like building your own cockpit. I have to say, as a student, it's the sort of thing, if I can get it for free, it'd be great to add, but not something I'd spend money on. And I think Lee and Ben were both in the same position, really. But it's good to see that the TouringProSeries are linking up with the Steel Series and getting their products out there. But we leave round 3 of the WSS. Just a quick summary, Liam. We're looking forward to the next round. It's in 2 weeks' time for everyone out there. And it will be on whatever 2 weeks' time is from now. I've lost the plot now. 25th of August, I believe. Because next week I am away at Thruxton in real life racing, so I won't be able to race. So, Liam, couple of weeks' time, do you think we'll see anyone else other than GT Amiga take a win?
Well, it's definitely possible. I mean, we've seen a huge step forward already with the likes of Jesper Thorberg now really establishing themselves as, you know, major title contenders. So, if we can try and just maybe not push, but we can push forward in terms of what's happening in the championship, then we're going to see a lot more midfield teams perhaps gain some confidence because of this round and begin to find some more pace, test a bit harder. They know they can keep it up there with the big top guns in this league, so just practice a bit harder, push a bit harder during the race, and I think we could see some people perhaps like Jesper Thorberg and Visa Müller take the fight to GT Amiga, but we'll have to wait and see in 2 weeks' time what happens.
And of course, Ben, in 3 weeks' time, just 7 days after Santa Cruz do Sol, which is our next race, it's the Jacarapagua Oval. And the Oval race is something that I'm looking forward to. What do you think about that one? Do you think that's going to be an interesting event?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, something like that could certainly mix the whole field up, really. I mean, it's a completely different kind of driving to to a track. So yeah, I mean that could leave us with some really good, interesting racing. And we'll also be interested to see Jack Keithley return to the series. He's obviously a very, very quick driver. He's won the last series of WSS. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do when he comes back and see if he can battle at the front with the other GT Amiga guys. But yeah, it's certainly still the championship's still quite open. But you'd have to say Calamis and Nielsen do look very strong at this point.
Yeah, it would take a big performance increase from one of the other guys to get close to them. Just a quick mention, once again, Oran Park is in, now it's 7 days time for us because we've gone past midnight, but it's on the 18th of August, 18:45 GMT, 6:45 in the evening. That's 7:45 if you're in the UK, 8:45 if you're +2. And that's the V8 with Ryan Callan and Evo Simons. That's from Oran Park. I won't be racing, unfortunately, as I say, I'm racing in real life. Hopefully Ryan's watching this so he can write me down in the absence report thread. But
and me, please.
Yeah, and Ben as well. So I'll do that. I'll sort that out in a minute. Best follow the rules. So thank you for joining me, Liam. Thank you for joining me, Ben. It's been excellent commentating with you once again on the WSS. And next time we will be racing. We'll be at the Santa Cruz do Sol track, and that is in 2 weeks' time. So until then, thank you everybody for watching and sticking with us, and we'll see you soon.